A rather poignant moment here at Three Rivers Stadium when we get to the ceremonial first ball. In a box seat just beyond the Pirate dugout, the governor of the state of Pennsylvania, the Honorable Richard Thornburg, and his lovely wife, Ginny. And Governor Thornburg will present the baseball for the ceremonial pitch to the wife of the late, great Pirates manager, Mrs. Katie Murtaugh, the widow of Danny Murtaugh, one of the loveliest men to ever put on a baseball uniform. And now the announcement being made about Governor Thornburg and his wife, Ginny, and the ball to be thrown out by Mrs. Katie Murtaugh. It's quiet here for the moment, so it's the right time to bring in Sparky Anderson. Sparky, Game 3 will be played on AstroTurf. For the Baltimore Orioles, there are only 3 ballparks in the American League with AstroTurf. What are some of the things you learn when you play a lot of games on it?
Well, they're going to find it a little different, especially without Lumber being out there in center field. Their outfield's not going to be as quick tonight, and that ball in the alleys, there's no question on AstroTurf. If that ball gets by you, it's a pinch double, and most of the time, triple. And you notice in the National League, you have many more triples than go over the American League for that reason. But I think the one thing, Vinny, that's so important, and this is something I don't know if Baltimore has on their scouting report. You don't guard the lines as much for one reason. If the ball goes by, you stay down the third baseline. We know that's a double. But if you're guarding the line, the ball goes to your left, stay down the third base, and that will still go all the way to the fence. So we learned on AstroTurf, you don't guard the lines like you do on dirt.
Another thing now, they tell us because of the rain, it has rained on and off here in Pittsburgh for a couple of weeks. The Zamboni machines drew out of the rug over 30,000 gallons of water. But needless to say, the AstroTurf still should be pretty damp. That complicates matters.
It doesn't matter how much water they took out. Once that gets damp, and just damp, it becomes like glass. And no matter how you look at it, the ball, for instance, last night, it took a bat off and came up on Smith. Here, that ball wouldn't have to take a bat off and take his leg off when she hit. It comes off like a knuckleball. That's totally different.
The Pittsburgh Pirates will now take the field. And, of course, everybody doing a little historical research. In 1971, Baltimore won the first 2 games in that World Series in Baltimore. And the Pirates came home and won 3 in a row and finally won the 7th game to win it. The feeling here, of course, is the Pirates are home. They are a tough ball club at home. Maybe they were a little bit better on the road. But at home, they won 48 of their 81 games. And for Baltimore on the road, they won 47 of their 80. So there should be another great duel between Scott McGregor and John Candelaria. When we look at the Baltimore lineup, Sparky, it seems as if Earl Weaver has decided to go to his little black book because he is breaking up his lineup in 2 important areas. Benny Ayala, who started only 18 games all year, will be in left field. Gary Reineke, who plays anywhere anyway, but he only started 19 games in center field. So suddenly, he is tinkering with the lineup that really got him here.
I think Vince just made up his mind. He scored 5 runs in the first game the other night on some errors, but actually he hasn't hit for the way our offensive club he wants him to hit in the World Series. So he's made up his mind. He's going to go with the offensive strength early and then worry about the defense as the game goes on.
Would you say there's a little extra pressure on Reineke, who is not the fielder certainly that Al Bunbury is?
And he's going to find it so much more troublesome for him on this AstroTurf because he better play deeper than he normally does because he doesn't have the speed as a Bunbury.
Taking a look at the Pittsburgh Pirates defensively, John Candelaria on the hill, Steve Nicosia behind the plate. So Chuck Tanner goes back to his right-handed bat. Wilbur Stargell is at first, Phil Garner at second, Tim Foley at short, and Bill Mizloff at third. In the outfield, Bill Robinson is at left, Omar Moreno is in center, and the right fielder is Dave Parker. John Candelaria, I read a line in the paper, Harvey Haddock said that he throws BBs, but now, I don't know how he pitched against Cincinnati. I'm almost inclined to think of him as a breaking ball pitcher.
He got to be a breaking ball pitcher when he had that back trouble, and that's the way I seen him last year. Now, the year before, Spencer, no question, he was just almost untouchable at times. He had that great fastball, but he also had the curve to go with it. I'm like you. I look at him as a breaking ball pitcher.
Yeah, after I read the line in the paper, Haddock saying, oh, yeah, he really throws TV side done? They're trying to set Baltimore up.
Yeah, I think they're trying to let the Baltimore players think that he's throwing as hard as he used to. I don't believe that Candy throws like he did.
And for John Candelaria, of course, at 6 feet 7 inches tall, it's another one of those illusions. You look at a man that big, he's only 60 feet away from you. You figure everything he throws is hard, but it's not so. What about his control? It doesn't compare with McGregor.
No, it doesn't compare with McGregor, but I'll tell you what, he'll be a little high early sometimes in a ball game, but once he gets into a rhythm, and when he does lose his control, what I like about him with his fastball, if he gets a little while, he'll go right into his curveball immediately to get his swing.
Well, here we go. Game 3 of the 1979 World Series. Kiko Garcia, the shortstop, followed by Benny Ayala, and then Kenny Singleton. Wind swirling around here at Three Rivers. The dimensions, 335 down the line, 375 up the alleys, and 400 to straightaway center. So Garcia checks in, and John Candelaria looks into his windup, and the left-hander's first pitch of the night, a fastball for a strike.
Then if he's throwing as hard as Harvey says, why is the center fielder shading him over the left field?
Exactly. By the way, we should also point out the umpire behind the plate is a Pennsylvania, Russ Getz, who's from these parts. Here's the strike one pitch, and that's it inside first base and down the line. Garcia hitting it into the corner, and by the time Parker picks it up, Kiko is into second base standing with a double.
You see that ball thrown in from right field to Gardner, and it hit and skipped, and just like a bullet, it went by him.
And as you said, anything hit down the line, automatic too. There was no way that anyone could have gotten over there to cut it off. So Candelaria, greeted by Kiko Garcia with a double into the right field corner, and the batter now is Benny Ayala. Do you remember Benny when he played in the National League?
I remember when he was with the Mets and Cardinals a little bit, and he was strong. And one thing I wanted to say, Vince, that third base coach went down and told him he was trying to tell him by a sign to go to right field, mentioning it right, but he just went down and told him, "Now I want that ball to go to right field."
Benny Ayala was brought up from Rochester when Doug DeCinces went on the injured reserve list. He hit 200 as a pinch hitter. However, he had a half a dozen home runs this past year, and 5 of them were against left-handers. So that's one reason certainly that Benny's in there tonight. Garcia at second, and a big off-speed pitch outside. I think he tried to turn it over, and there wasn't much on it.
He's not throwing that fastball like Harvey was doing what you said, a little cog job.
I think so. 1 ball and no strikes to count to Benny Ayala. He's one of those fellas who hit a home run his first at-bat in the big leagues with the Mets. He did it against Houston. The 1-0 pitch, half swing on a breaking ball for a strike, 1-1. Yeah, you take the wrapper off this candy bar, and you find there's much more breaking balls and the fastballs that you might otherwise tend to expect. 1-1, the count to Benny Ayala. Game 3, just the start of it. And good weather, no rain, a little cool, but that's about all. 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball and ran away outside, ball 2.
I know Harvey's game, though, because I've done that about 9,000 times, and we kind of give him a little different take of it.
Sure, why not? Of course, no doubt, Jimmy Russo and the other scouts have checked him out, and they know all about Candelaria. Temperature, a balmy 51 degrees, so the series has gone tropical. The 2-1 pitch, foul back, and I think Benny was trying to inside out it and go the other way that time.
Yeah, he was, Vince. He was trying to go to right field. I'd like to say one thing. How about Leo Garosha telling us before game time it's 110 in Palm Springs? That's real nice of Leo.
And the Lion is here in Pittsburgh, like so many others, to take in the ball game. Russ Getz of the American League behind the plate for the first time in his life working a ball game in Pittsburgh, and he's from these parts, lives in Glassport, formerly from McKeesport. Terry Tate of the National League at first, Jim McKeon of the American at second. At third is Paul Runge. Jerry Newdecker on the left field foul line, Bob Engel on the right field foul line. And the pitch is hit on the fist, and a fly ball into shallow center, and that's going to be trouble. It lands in front of Marino, and over to third goes Garcia, and so suddenly Baltimore in business. They have runners at first and third and nobody out. Ayala jammed and was still able to push it up the middle, and Candelaria is starting off on a wobbly note now because the Orioles bring up Singleton and Murray. When Singleton and Murray go the other side of the plate, I guess in a sense you'd rather see them hit this way if you're going against them.
Singleton, yes. I question Murray a little bit. One reason, Benny, he was always a right-handed hitter. He only became a switch hitter about 4 years ago, and I still think he likes to get on that right side.
So Kenny Singleton with first and third and nobody out, and the fastball is fouled away, 0-1. Singleton singled, and so far in the series, 2 for 7. He does not have a run batted in. And, of course, he has a golden opportunity now. The Pirates playing the infield back. Wilbur Stargell, and we've talked about it, standing in foul territory until his pitcher is ready. Candelaria delivers, and that's foul back. So he has Singleton in the hole 0-2. Just to get back to Stargell again. Wilbur had his wrist slapped by the National League for, I guess you'd call it, fooling around with opposing base runners good-naturedly during the championship series. And so he said, okay, if that's the way you want it, I'll stay in foul ground until my pitcher is ready to pitch. Then I'll hold the runner on. That way there will not be any arguing, no problems, and I won't even have any conversation with him. 0-2, the count of Kenny Single, and he struck out 118 times, and a breaking ball got him swinging.
That was a big out for him because now if Murray hitting from the right side hits the ground ball, they're going to get a double play, Ben, and they can get out of this inning very easily right here.
Eddie Murray coming up with 1 out and runners at first and third. Murray, during the regular year, a natural right-handed batter, he had 298 from this side, including 9 home runs and 31 runs batted in. And he struck out only 10% as a right-handed batter.
He doesn't get fooled, Vinny, on the change near as much from the right side as he does the left side.
Really, and I noticed how he was fooled on the change last night when he almost hit it to out of Maryland.
Yeah, high ones like that don't fool nobody, though.
Candelaria up with his first breaking ball, ball 1, 1-0. Now Wilbur Stargell coming to the mound to talk to John Candelaria.
I think Wilbur got tired of just standing not talking to nobody. Really likes to go in and jab a little bit.
You can only be quiet for so long if you're Wilbur Stargell. Also, of course, standing at first base, Benny Ayala, who has not played that much. Now, I don't think they are wondering about Ayala trying to run. He did not have a stolen base during the year. They want Murray to have his best shot right now. So Stargell holding Ayala. Garcia down the line from third. 1 out in the first inning, no score, and Eddie Murray at the plate. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Fastball swung on and foul tipped at the plate. Good low fastball. And he does throw a fastball that seems to move. He can make it tail and sink a little bit, along with the great curve.
You call that one perfect, Benny. He had much more on that fastball than any of the other fastballs he's thrown. And downstairs, you don't normally throw that hard.
1 ball and 1 strike to count Eddie Murray. Candelaria at the belt. John comes back. Fastball, line drive at Garner. Over to Stargell. Not in time. So the Orioles hit in tough luck. Eddie Murray hits a bullet, but right at Phil Garner for the second out. Now with 2 down and runners at first and third, Doug DeCinces coming up. DeCinces hit only .230 during the regular year, but he had 16 home runs. And during this World Series, he has 1 for 7, and that was that first inning home run against Bruce Keeson.
You know, Vince, if this is a 1-run game and say you end up losing the ball game 4-3, 3-2, everybody says, well, tough game. No, you lose in the first inning. When nobody out first third, you have to score a run.
So Candelaria delivers. Good breaking ball. Over for a strike. 0-1. Is that his slider? It doesn't have a big break.
That's his quick one. His little quick slider that he throws.
0-1, the count of DeCinces. Orioles at first and third, but 2 out. Candelaria comes back to the hitter 0-1. Fastball, and then ran away. A good running fastball. If you're a right-hand hitter and you try to pull that, you pop it up for sure.
After we've seen Blyleven and Robertson, the right-handers, the ball really running. Now Candelaria. Harvey's done something with them. They didn't used to run that much when I was over there.
1 ball and 1 strike. The count of Doug DeCinces, the talented third baseman of Baltimore. On deck, you have Gary Renicky. Candelaria trying to work out of a first inning jam. And the 1-1 pitch, little slider low, ball 2, 2-1. If you joined us a little late, Chico Garcia singled and made it a double as it hit the AstroTurf and went down into the right field corner. Ayala singled on a pop fly that dropped in center. But now he has gotten Singleton and Murray, and the 2-1 pitch fouled away by DeCinces to make it 2-2. There's not much you can do about the line drive hit at somebody, and of course that's Murray's story.
No, but there's not much you can do because the old story, you still are getting paid for one thing to do the job, and you have to score that night.
The crowd now, sensing a chance to get out of the inning, they come alive. 2-2 to Doug DeCinces. Candelaria at the belt, checks the runners, delivers, and the fastball fouled away. And DeCinces had to go across the plate after it. He couldn't afford to take it. wondering about a fellow like Candelaria with a history of back problems and his first inning on a cool night, whether he gets ready right away. 2-2, and now DeCince asking the time and backs out.
I will say one thing. He is throwing 50% better after the second hit.
2-2. DeCince backs out. Now the right-hand hitting third baseman climbs back in. Jim Fry over at first. Cal Ripken at third for Earl Weaver's crew. Candelaria, left foot on the rubber, out of the stretch. And the 2-2 pitch, breaking ball, check swing, strike three, says first base umpire Terry Taylor. So the half swing on DeCince on the curveball, and Terry Taylor called him out. So Baltimore with first and third and nobody out, then they come up empty. And at the end of half an inning, Baltimore nothing, and the Pirates coming up. Bottom of the first inning, game 3 of the 1979 World Series. Baltimore with runners at first and third and nobody out. Kenny Singleton, number 3 hitter, struck out on an 0-2 breaking ball. Murray hit a line drive at Phil Garner, and then with 2 strikes, DeCince went down on a half swing on a big breaking ball. Candelaria was out of the inning. Scott McGregor tuning up to Rick Dempsey. McGregor, 25 years old, out of California. A remarkable pitcher in control, but he was bothered by tendinitis in his elbow the early part of the year. He didn't win a game until the season was more than 2 months old, and yet he won his first game on June 11, and from after that time, he was 13-4. McGregor actually was bothered by tendinitis in spring training, and by the end of April, he just couldn't lift his arm, and he was idle for about a month. And then, no doubt, as weather began to warm up, he began to loosen up. And after a couple of long relief appearances, he really got well. And as we said, from the middle of June, he was just brilliant. From July through the 2nd of September, he won 8 of his last 9. And after walking 7 batters in his first 19 innings, and this is shocking, for the rest of the year, he walked only 16 hitters. Sparky, he ought to go to the Hall of Fame on control alone.
Yeah, he's just crafty. He's got all the pitches. Fastball, he'll run it in. He'll keep it away. He takes speeds off his fastball, off his curve, and he got a quick go fly. He's a good pitcher.
So Scott McGregor will now be pitching to Omar Marino, Tim Foley, and Dave Parker. DeCince up inside the bag at third. The pitch to Marino. Missed inside, ball 1. Rick Dempsey behind the plate. Eddie Murray, Rich Dower, Kiko Garcia, and Doug DeCince on the infield. The 1-0 pitch, and that's a strike. Benny Ayala is in left. Gary Renicky is in center, and Ken Singleton around and right. Al Munchak coaching at first. Joe Lynette at third. The 1-1 sidearm fastball, low and outside ball 2. Does he try to intimidate hitters that way?
Every once in a while. He doesn't like to go there too often. Once in a while, he'll go with those left-handers.
Marino is struggling. He is 1 for 10 in the series, and they have kept him on the base paths, and that's one reason why the Pirates have not generated as many runs as they'd like to. But he's stroked one into right center field. Going over to get it is Renicky, and Marino breezing into second with a double. Psychologically, you come into a ballpark, you are given a big opportunity and you blow it, and then their leadoff man comes up with an extra base hit. It's got to make you press right away.
Well, I'll tell you, Vince, now that you're back here in Pittsburgh on this AstroTurf, Baltimore is going to have to show right away that they can play out and cover the field. That ball there would have been inside the park, and Renicky almost didn't catch up with it.
Well, now here is Tim Foley with Omar Marino at second. Remember, Marino, the National League's leading base stealer, stole 77 during the regular season. Marino at second, and Foley choking up on the bat. The toughest hitter in the National League to strike out, and the chant begins Foley, Foley, Foley. And let's see, a balk was called by Terry Taylor at first base. National League umpire Terry Taylor called a balk. Evidently, McGregor on the rubber started to bring his hands together, then dropped his hands to his side while his left foot was still on the rubber, and the balk was called. And here comes Earl Weaver. And that brings up the point that you mentioned in Game 1. The difference not so much
foot moving, the hands moving, and they are very, very strict in the National League. I'll say one thing, they never take their eye off of that pitcher on the mound.
And so Terry Tater calling the balk. McGregor and Weaver are having a little classroom analysis of just what happened. Weaver, after talking to his pitcher, said, that satisfies me. You didn't balk, so Earl now is going to go back. Weaver has been known to be kicked out of the ball game. That might be the understatement of the year.
Well, Earl did one thing there, and I think it's great. He went to McGregor first. He asked McGregor, were you on the rubber or were you off the rubber? McGregor told him he was off the rubber. Earl knows his players. He knows which guy will tell him a story, which guy won't. And evidently, if you see Earl get extremely hot over there, I'll guarantee you he knows McGregor's telling him exactly what happened.
You know, you want to talk about betting your house that something won't happen. How about Earl Weaver dissuading Terry Tater from the balk call and sending Marino back to second? The odds about out of sight on that one.
Well, they're not out of sight. It just will never happen.
And not that we're looking for trouble, but it should be noted that Earl Weaver during the regular year was kicked out of 9 games, so that in his big league career, Weaver has been kicked out of 74 games. So the Bantam Rooster has made his presence felt on numerous occasions.
Yeah, somebody the other day said, boy, what a league that must be over there. They got Billy Martin, Earl Weaver, Gene Mock, and Sparky Anderson. I said, well, I'm the generalist of all the one of the National League umpires. Said, yeah, who are you kidding?
One thing also for Weaver, it was a National League umpire, Terry Tater, whom he does not really know. Had it been old Ron Luciano or Marty Springstead, they have chased him 7 times each, or we might have really had a show. Anyway, Weaver has had his say. The balk call is history. Marino is now at third, and Foley is the batter. With a runner at second, you expect Foley to go the other way. Now, with a runner at third, there are all kinds of possibilities.
He'll try to get a ball now that he can drive a little bit if he can. He wants to get a ball that he can get out there deep enough to try to get a ball up on him.
Foley takes a pitch up and away. Ball 1, 1-0. Tim hitting .288, 65 RBIs. Made a couple of marvelous plays and a big one on the double play ball last night with John Lowenstein. The 1-0 pitch is popped up, and it is Dempsey going out in foul ground, and under to make the catch for the out. So a good pitch by McGregor to get Foley.
The thing I noticed with Foley up, Benny, and I think that Baltimore's going to have to be careful on, they're playing a little short in their infield. They think that they're playing on dirt. You are playing on AstroTurf, and you better get back as far as you can get.
Well, if there's anyone who is going to make infielders get as back as far as they can on AstroTurf, it would be this big guy coming up right now, Dave Parker. Parker hit .310 during the regular year, 25 home runs, 94 runs batted in. Had a big first game in the series when he had 4 hits to more or less punch some holes in the left-handed series. However, with his 4 hits, the Pirates still lost. McGregor out of a stretch, and a fastball is a little low and outside. Ball 1, 1-0. Omar Marino doubled and was walked to third. And with 1 out, Parker trying to pick him up. Parker, during the regular year, led the Pirates in scoring fly balls. He had 9 of them. The 1-0 pitch to Dave is whacked to center field. Renicky moves up, makes the catch for the out. Marino comes to the plate and scores easily. Eddie Murray's line drive was at Phil Garner. Dave Parker's line drive was at Gary Renicky in center field, and the Bucks lead 1-0. Bill Robinson, the batter. What kind of a personality does McGregor have as far as, is he kind of a scrapper, the kind of a kid who will not get down?
Well, they tell me I don't know him better, but they say he's a very quiet kid. He's a very tough kid. They say he's one kid that does never get afraid of anything. At no time does he have any fear.
The first pitch to Robinson, he came right in and over with a strike. Now the strike 1 pitch, fastball squirted foul off to the right of the plate. He has, and this is the first time I've ever seen him pitch, he has a very, what would I say, not an awkward delivery, but it's tough to pick up the ball. He comes back 0-2, and a sinker swung on and missed, and Robinson looks badly chasing a low pitch, and that'll be that in the first inning. 1 run, 1 hit. And at the end of an inning, the balk is the key to the inning. The Pirates won, the Orioles nothing. We move to the second inning with the Pirates leading Baltimore 1-0, and the key to the ball game right now, and it could very well be the key to the game and maybe to the series, the balk call called on Scott McGregor, because had Marino been at second base, there's no way he could have scored after the line drive out to center and then the strikeout of Robinson. Let's pause 5 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS radio network.
This is 87 WWL in New Orleans.
John Candelaria given a 1-0 lead to lean on. Gary Renicky will start it off. He'll be followed by Rich Dower and then Rick Dempsey. Baltimore, of course, in winning 102 ball games, never rolled over during the course of the year, and you know they are very much in the thick of this one. Baltimore in the first game got out in front 5-0, had to hang on to win it 5-4. Pittsburgh got out in front 2-0. Last night, Baltimore came back to tie, and then the Pirates finally won it. And so it's 1-0 Pittsburgh going to the second, and we still have the prospects of another tough one-run ball game. Gary Renicky, back in April the 7th, was hit in the face by Laren LeGros, the right-hander who's now with the Dodgers, but he was with Chicago at the time. And it really cut him up. Took 25 stitches in his upper lip. And finally, Earl Weaver and the Baltimore Colts equipment manager, Marty Daly, more or less invented a piece of football-type face mask over the mouth area, which is attached to the helmet. And Renicky up there now, and Candelaria's first pitch, a drive down the left field line, hooking in the corner, foul and out of play, and then winds up in the visiting bullpen. 0-1 the count to Gary Renicky. It used to be the visiting bullpen down there. They have switched things the last year or so. Now, Baltimore, the visitors, are in the right field corner, and the Pirates are in the left field corner. 0-1 to Renicky. Deep in the box, Candelaria back with a fastball, grounded to short. Foley up with it, stumbled a little bit, and then throws him out. Well, Gary Renicky was looking for a fastball because that back foot was barely in the batter's box.
Yeah, he holds his bat real low, and they tell me he used to like the ball away from him, and he dropped his bat now, and now he wants everything inside. And what he's trying to do, Benny, is he tries to get all the balls out of the ballpark. That's why this year he hit 25 homers.
A very discovered Rich Dower coming up. Dower, after all, played 142 games for the Orioles this year, and he had to sit and bide his time. Billy Smith starting the first 2, but he's in there tonight at second base. It's a chopper to the left of Foley, who one-hands it behind the bag and gets him. He wasn't going to take. He's been waiting for 3 days to play.
He was a little anxious to have himself a base hit, although he did get a base hit in that first ball game. The first time he was up, he went in there for defense and got a base hit.
Here is Rick Dempsey, and he has already shown the National League that marvelous arm that he has, especially when he threw out Matt Alexander last night. Dempsey hit .239 during the regular year, hitting in the number 8 spot with Scott McGregor on deck. Candelaria ready, sneaks a fastball in there at the knees for a strike, 0-1. Not the high hard one, the low hard one. John checking. Dempsey waiting, and the strike 1 pitch to Rick. Another fastball, same spot, 0-2. And now suddenly he's living up to Harvey Haddock.
Yeah, I think Harvey might know a little something. We won't jump on him too quick now.
0-2 the count to Rick Dempsey. 1-0 Pirates. Second inning, 2 out, bases empty. The outfield about straight away. And the strike 2 pitch on the way, fastball, fouled away. And good location, because Dempsey was looking no doubt for a breaking ball in, and that fastball was outside. He had to poke it to get a piece of it. I guess it's much more important in and out rather than high and low.
In and out. If you can pitch in and out, you're going to have a lot of success.
The strike 2 pitch on the way. Candelaria's breaking ball is outside, ball 1, but he's right around the plate. 1-2 the count. Pirates scored on a double to Moreno, a balk to third, and a drive to center that was caught by Renicky off the bat of Dave Parker. Moreno tagged up and came in. 1-2 fastball hit down to Foley, so Tim is going to get them all as he throws him out. So the Orioles Orioles beat them down into the rug, and at the end of an inning and a half, the Pirates won, and the Orioles nothing. We're going to the bottom of the second inning with the Pirates leading the Orioles 1-0, and Wilbur Stargell will get a standing ovation. Listen. They call him Pops now because he's been around a while. 38 years old. He takes a look at a strike and the count 0-1. Mr. Wonderful. And look at Rick Dower out in shallow right field. The strike one pitch is outside. Rich has now got the record for the deepest second base play in the series. And, of course, Garcia has left the infield. So DeCince and Murray are the only men really playing the infield. And there's a shot by a diving Dower and up the alley. Over to get it is Renicky. Stargell holding with a single. And Dower looked back as if to say, how can you hit it by me when I'm playing you so deep?
Can you imagine playing short right field if you hit the ball that goes right on by you?
So Stargell, a shot into right center field for a base hit. And the batter now is Bill Madlock. The Pirates won 34 games against left-handers during the regular year and lost 23. The numbers don't mean that much. Would you rather pitch a left-hander against the Pirates?
I'll tell you what, the Pirates to me are so aggressive. I think Dempsey said it when he said, boy, this is an aggressive ball club. I don't think they really care.
Bill Madlock fouled the first pitch away in the count 0-1. And Madlock going over to the on-deck circles to time out for the moment. 0-1, the count to Bill Madlock. Wilbur Stargell standing at first. Bottom of the second inning, and the Pirates leading 1-0. For Madlock, he is 2 for 7 with 1 RBI. For Wilbur Stargell, that was his third hit in 10 World Series at bats, so he's hitting 300. He's really something. And so is Scott McGregor, the young left-hander out of the stretch. Looks at first, now comes to the plate, and it's swung on and missed 0-2. Do you think, Sparky, as a student of human nature and a psychologist of sorts, McGregor would be intimidated by Tater's balk call in the first inning?
I don't think so. I think he believes he was off the rubber, so he'll forget about it.
The strike two pitch on the way is swung on and fouled away. McGregor might have turned it over a little bit that time. Madlock did not have a good swing.
He does that. That's the one good thing about him. He'll throw that fastball that he'll throw in on you, and then he takes one he'll turn over.
0-2 to Bill Madlock. Stargell at first. Steve Nicosia, the rookie catcher, on deck. Madlock, who hit 298, waiting at the plate, and the pitch to him is just inside. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the second inning. Scott McGregor and John Candelaria. Dennis Martinez and Jim Bibby go tomorrow in Game 4. Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up, and left-hander McGregor delivers, and it's in there. Strike 3 called, and Madlock couldn't believe it.
You know, Benny, I was just looking down at Wilbur over there on first base, Stargell. I was thinking the National pitchers will be very happy about 1980. I think he'll be about 1990. I think about 10 more years, 11 years.
He'll put that wood away. Here is Steve Nicosia, the rookie. He's saying the last rookie catcher was back in 1967 to start a World Series game. Russ Gibson. Well, Nicosia had the honor in Baltimore. And now he's at the plate tonight here in Pittsburgh. McGregor ready. The left-hander delivers, and a good fastball is swung on and foul tipped 0-1. Nicosia in that first game went 0 for 4. And once or twice, it looked like a rookie hitting under some pressure. Stargell standing at first, held on by Eddie Murray. Dower playing over to his right to fill up the middle. And the outfield playing Nicosia to pull slightly. The next one wiggles in there, 0-2, and it's the same McGregor. Then he just keeps throwing strikes.
He'll throw strikes all night. He gets the ball normally where he wants to.
So Nicosia backs out. New Jersey boy who makes his home in Florida. The strike 2 pitch to Steve. McGregor ready, delivers, and is fouled off. When McGregor delivers to the plate, in the act of delivery, it's almost a hesitation on his way to home plate. It's not a balk, but he hangs that leg out there a little.
For one reason, he wants you to determine what you want to do over there. That's why I say this guy's got a tremendous move. I'm not too sure about the move at sometimes because he uses his knee crossing rather than his foot, but it's debatable.
The strike 2 pitch coming up to Nicosia, and the fastball hit to the hole at short, and it's by the diving Garcia, and to Stargell at second, and that gives you an idea of the different world the Orioles find themselves in. Dower diving at a ground ball, Garcia diving at a ground ball, neither man came close.
Well, that's a double play on grass. The difference there is that's a double play, and McGregor thinks to himself, what do you have to do here? I've thrown up a double play and the ball's through. But when you play on AstroTurf, I guarantee you're a 20 to 30 point higher hitter.
So McGregor in a little trouble here. First and second, one out, and Phil Garner coming up. Garner is having a big series. He's 4 for 6. McGregor ready, and the left-handed delivers, and Garner swings, doesn't get it, and he was looking right field. I believe he was going to take a shot on that first pitch.
He certainly was, Vinny, and that's the thing that's so good about this guy. Garner really knows how to play. He was going to take that ball and try to hit him to right center.
He has 2 runs batted in so far this World Series. Strike 1 pitch to Phil. Poke foul off to the right. There he goes again.
You know, Bobby Bragan used to have a saying for these kind of guys. You'd ask Bobby, you'd say, Bobby, what kind of a player is he? He said, I'll tell you, he's a gamer.
Garner the gamer, all right. The volunteer from the University of Tennessee, Phil Garner, right-hand hitting second baseman. However, McGregor battling him first and second, 1 out in the second inning. Pirates 1, Orioles nothing. McGregor just eyeballing Dempsey, and Garner tired of waiting and backed out. Now Garner back up to the plate. McGregor straddling the rubber, now plants his left foot. Stargell taking his lead at second, Nicosia at first. And the strike 2 pitch to Garner. Breaking ball fouled away. Still 0-2. So McGregor, who came in here with those marvelous numbers, particularly with control, and it seems like every time you look up, he's 0-2 with the hitters.
You know, Vinny, I was just checking. We were talking about the lines. The census is way off over there at third. More so than he would be even at home. So they have had good scouting reports on that.
0-2, the count. 1 out. Stargell at second, Nicosia at first. Got McGregor out of his stretch. The left-hander ready. Looks at Stargell, works his hitter, and the fastball is hitting to left center field. That's going to hit the rug and go to the wall. In comes Stargell. Nicosia is coming to the plate to score. Garner is hung up between second and third. Eddie Murray is running in towards third, and Murray finally throws to third, and they get him. But Garner doubles in, too, and the Pirates lead 3-0, and listen to the crowd. So Phil Garner is suddenly the big man in the World Series with the bat. Garner now has 5 hits and 7 at-bats, 4 runs batted in, and 2 doubles. Not bad for 2 games and 2 innings. And it is 3-0 Pittsburgh. Now they're going to throw to second base, figuring that Nicosia missed the bag. And the throw to second, and the answer is no. Second base umpire Jim McKeon of the American League saying the bag has been stepped on. So Garner doubles in Stargell and Nicosia. Is cut down in a rundown between second and third for the second out. And now here's John Candelaria. McGregor comes to him, and it's stroked into left field. Base hit. Over to get the ball is Ayala. And McGregor, if he was trying to intimidate Candelaria, didn't do it. He tried to tilt and sidearm a little, and Candelaria hung in there pretty well.
All the candy man just said, I'll just stroke him lightly to left field.
And for Earl Weaver, he's going to send out Ray Miller as pitching coach to talk to McGregor, and the Orioles have to stir around and get a right-hander up in the bullpen. The Pirates scoring once in the first inning and twice in the second, and it is 3-0 Pittsburgh. So the balk led to the first run, But here in the second inning, the Pirates, and we were talking about it earlier, like a string of firecrackers, that's the way their offense operates. They have 3 singles and a double here in the second.
He's got Sammy Stewart down there, and he likes to use Sammy early because he'll go 4 or 5 innings for him.
So young Scott McGregor being pushed around a little bit here in the second. Still very much in the game, however, and Omar Marino coming up.
Vince, I'm really surprised that they're holding Candelario, the left-handed pitcher, and Marino up. There's nowhere Candelario's going.
That's one of those automatic things that so many times people just overlook. You know, the man at first hold him on, but why? The pitch to Marino, big, slow jug over for a strike, 0-1. All you're doing is taking Murray out of the game, and now they say, all right, Eddie, get off the bag, and he goes back to his position. 0-1, the count to Marino. The strike 1 pitch on the way. Off speed, good pitch. Marino way out in front of it. 0-2. By the way, Candelario during the regular year had 9 hits, 4 doubles, and 6 runs batted in. So he can swing the bat fairly well. It was no accident. 0-2 the count is center field Omar Marino. He played in them all for the Pirates, all 162. The strike 2 pitch on the way. On the hands, broken bat foul ball down to second base. Dower throws him out, and the meat part of the bat went into the lower deck. Boy, did that thing explode and come apart. Dower throws him out, and the inning is over. 2 runs, 4 hits, and a man left. And at the end of 2, the Pirates 3. Baltimore nothing. Friends, if you're on the go over the weekend, take radio along to keep up with sports events. Keep your dial tuned to CBS for Sports Central USA and Weekend Worldwide Sports with Win Elliott. At Summerall, too, with predictions on Saturday and Sports Profile Sunday. Wherever you are, remember, weekends and every day. CBS is your #1 radio network for sports. As we go to the third inning, the Pirates 3 and Baltimore nothing. And the Pirates hitting some shots on the rug that have escaped some diving Orioles. 3 runs, 5 hits for Pittsburgh. No runs, 2 hits for Baltimore. And remember, the Orioles had runners at first and third and nobody out in the first inning. And when they didn't score, it figures that a little bit of the air came out of the balloon.
Yeah, and then I think they realized that now, too, this turf, Benny, is eating them alive because the ball that McGregor threw should have been a double play ball. It would be a double play ball in Baltimore. But here, it kept the inning going, and then Gardner comes up and doubles. That ball there goes all the way to the fence when it hits the turf.
Numbers have to be interpreted, and the fact that Baltimore is playing on AstroTurf, the fact that they only play on 3 ballparks in the American League with AstroTurf, a legitimate question would come to mind. Well, how did they do when they played on AstroTurf in the American League? Well, at Kansas City, they split the 6 games on AstroTurf. In Seattle, they won 5 out of 6. In Toronto, they won 4 out of 6. But I don't think anybody would be too upset when you said Seattle and Toronto were not very good ball clubs.
Well, they beat them, well this year, and there's no question about it. Baltimore was having a great year, and they won 102 games. But I understand from my coaches, Dick Jazuski, who has been in the league a long time, says that they have had a lot of trouble in Kansas City when Kansas City was playing extremely well.
Well, if they're having trouble on AstroTurf there, they certainly have a mountain to climb here in Pittsburgh now. And it'll be Scott McGregor to start it off. Does he do anything with the bat? Of course, with the designated hitter, nobody really knows if he ever did swing the bat. But I understand in his younger days, he was a pretty good ball player.
I'm sure he was a pretty... All pitchers were good athletes when they were in high school.
Right-handed batter, Candelario's fastball is high, ball 1, 1-0. And, of course, as we have pointed out and remind you, Baltimore, under the disadvantage of the fact this is the odd year, meaning no designated hitter in the World Series. The 1-0 pitch, fastball in there for a strike, 1-1. You know, you made a remark talking about Nolan Ryan over dinner tonight. That is, I think, something that might be bypassed, especially when National Leaguers are talking. Here's the 1-1 pitch, and that's lifted foul off first base, down the line and out of play, so we have a chance to talk about it. You were marveling about Nolan Ryan, and particularly not just his number of strikeouts, but why?
Well, then you think that a man strikes out 389 men in a year. That's tremendous. Richard struck out 313 this year. That's tremendous also. But when you think that he did it with a designated hitter and pitching to the pitcher 160 times in the course of the year.
That really is remarkable. The 1-2 pitch is outside, ball 2, 2-2. We're in the third. The Pirates, 3 runs, 5 hits. The Orioles, no runs, 2 hits. Because the Orioles have been trying to prevent what happened 8 years ago when they lost 3 straight here. The 2-2 pitch is slapped down the right field line. When they lost 3 straight here. The 2-2 pitch is slapped down the right field line, going in the corner, foul. And out of play. Dave Parker over to get it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. John Candelario, 6'7", out of New York, and very much at home here in Pittsburgh. He was in an automobile accident earlier this year and re-injured his back. However, he's come back and here he's pitching in Game 3. There's a 2-2 pitch on the way, and the Candyman's fastball is popped up in foul ground. Coming over is Nicosia and Stargell, and it is Stargell making the catch for the out. One away as Scott McGregor fouls out. Now the batter will be the leadoff man, Kiko Garcia. He doubled into the right field corner in the first inning. Isn't he that kind of a hitter, more or less of a first ball hitter and a spray hitter?
Well, he's a first ball hitter. He doesn't hit the ball to right field like that much. He hits the right center, but normally he likes to pull a little bit left center field alley, right center field alley.
Candelaria's first pitch to Garcia outside, ball 1, 1-0 to Kiko. So Earl Weaver starting Garcia at short, Ayala in left, and Renicky in center. Trying to get the birds off the ground, and the 1-0 pitch on the way, high and outside, ball 2, 2-0. For Candelaria, during the course of the year, he made 30 starts and completed 8 of them. Nicosia out to the mound to talk to the left-hander. One of the big, not surprises, but a headline gatherer for Pittsburgh. Their pitching has been outstanding. Coming into the series, you figured it was going to be Baltimore pitching and Pittsburgh hitting, but the Pirate pitching has been something. The 2-0 pitch on the way is inside, so Candelaria now is 3-0.
I believe they were third in the National League in pitching. I think that Montreal was 1, Houston 2, and I believe the Pirates 3. So when you have a hitting ball club like that and pitching like that, you got a pretty good club.
The 3-0 pitch is in there for a strike, 3-1. On deck, left fielder Benny Ayala. Pirates 3, Baltimore nothing in the third inning. Candelaria into the windup, and the 3-1 fastball is fouled back, 3-2. Garcia backs out, trying to loosen up the shoulder and back muscles. It's cool, but it is certainly better than it has been the last 2 nights in Baltimore, no doubt about that. 3-2. Now the full count pitch on the way. Candelaria missed with a fastball.
Vince, this is a beautiful stadium, though. I think that Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, all those new stadiums over here have really made a tremendous difference.
And, of course, it does give the National League a decided edge because of the AstroTurf coming in here. And it'll be interesting to see how quickly Baltimore can adjust. And we now see some folks down below putting on raincoats. The weatherman said that we are going to have a shower, and it has arrived. So a light rainfall beginning to come down in Pittsburgh. Weatherman also said it would last about 15 minutes, so we'll see. The breaking ball is hit foul outside of third by Ayala, bounces up into the stands, and the count 0-1. It wouldn't be the World Series 79 without some rain.
No, I tell you, this reminds you of that Boston 75 World Series.
0-1, the count to Benny Ayala. He's single. It was a fly-ball single that dropped in the first inning. The outfield playing him deep. Ayala has a look at a pitch outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. He had 2 home runs in a ball game against the Rangers. The rain coming down hard enough now so that people are grudgingly opening up umbrellas, putting on raincoats. The 1-1 pitch is fouled back, 1-2. The infield is in good shape, and of course we are all with the advantage of the AstroTurf as far as rain. You just don't lose games to the weather on AstroTurf, not too often anyway.
You lose some players with shins, all taking their shin off, but that's all.
Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up. Ayala takes high, ball 2, 2-2. Ken Jacoby made an interesting remark about the treacherous mound in Baltimore last night. He said because it was so slick, he hadn't worked in 8 or 9 days, but instead of trying to overpower the hitters, he stayed within himself and actually pitched better. But sometimes adversity can help. The 2-2 breaking ball just missed. And the count 3-2. Candelaria went 3-2 to Garcia and walked him on a fastball. Now he comes 3-2 to Ayala, who has more power, and we see the comeback fastball leading 3-0. Andy out of the stretch, looks at Garcia, decides to go over there with a lob throw. What about his move to first?
Don't have a real good move to first, but I thought that was a good play there. He just wanted to find out. I don't believe Garcia's going anywhere.
Garcia off the bag, and the 3-2 pitch, fastball, and a high drive into left center field and deep. Marino to the track, to the wall. It is gone. A home run for Benny Ayala. And Baltimore has come right back as you know they would. Pirates 3, Baltimore 2.
Earl Weaver looks really smart right now, doesn't he, Benny?
And how, remember? It was Gary Renicky and Benny Ayala in the outfield starting tonight. A little bit of a surprise. What is not a surprise is the figure we gave the other night about Candelaria. He led the Pirates in home runs allowed. He gave up 25 during the regular year. And he gives one up to Ayala to get Baltimore right back in the ball game. So the batter is Kenny Singleton, and Candelaria's good breaking ball over for a strike. So he was burned going 3-2. And he has allowed Baltimore to get right back into it. Fastball is hit up the middle, and now Baltimore has the tying run at first base as Singleton grounds one up the middle.
You know, Benny, before that hit, the Singleton got the last 2 times that he had struck out. He had the bases loaded one time, and first and third the other time. So he left 5 men on and 2 strikeouts.
Benny Ayala, another note that we had given you earlier, he hit 6 home runs during the year. 5 of the 6 were against left-handed pitching, and he just jumped on one tonight. Rain coming down harder now. Singleton at first. So a walk to Garcia, a 2-run home run to Ayala, a single to Singleton, and now here's Eddie Murray. Candelaria's fastball sinks low. Ball 1, 1-0.
You know, Vince, when you're playing on AstroTurf, if you're losing, say, going to the 8th inning, I used to love to see it rain because you had such an advantage. If it started raining, the balls would go through. And when you're losing, you don't really care what happens to you.
In the 3rd inning, Baltimore now has Murray try to uppercut a breaking ball and foul it back. And the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Eddie, the modern-day Iron Man in the sense he plays just about every day. We won't even talk about a streak now when you think of Lou Gehrig.
No, Lou Gehrig. Lou's got them all.
1-1 to count Eddie Murray. Breaking ball foul back. Little slider in and up, and Murray fouled it off. 1-2. 1 away, and that was McGregor. But then Garcia walked on a 3-2 pitch. Ayala hit a 3-2 pitch over the left center field fence, and Singleton hit one up the middle for a base hit. Pirates 3, Baltimore 2 in the 3rd. 1 out in the rain. Candelaria out of a stretch. Looks at Singleton. Works a fastball. Fouled away. And Murray hanging tough 1-2.
Vince, every time I see Willie standing over in foul territory, I always think of him and Joe Morgan. They're such close friends, and Joe would get on first base, and I'm not kidding you, it would be a riot. He'd try to hold Joe's pants, do everything to him.
Yeah, it's just not Will Vistardo seeing him stay away from the runners. You think the Steelers we're playing now as the chant goes up, defense, defense. 1-2 to count. Candelaria delivers inside, probably driving Murray out of there, which reminds me, honestly, does a World Series intimidate a manager as far as the brush back or knockdown pitch?
I don't think so. I really don't believe that you change anything. I noticed Charlie's ball club's been playing the way Charlie always plays. Earl's doing the same thing he always does.
The 2-2 pitch on the way. Fastball away. So for the 3rd time, he's gone 3-2.
But his ball's really moving, Vince. You said it in the 1st inning, and you hit it right on the head. His ball's really alive.
So a full count, Eddie Murray with 1 out. 3-2 in favor of the Pirates. Singleton a very short lead at first. He's a good 2 feet away from getting his right foot on the rug. He is not going, and the pitch is fisted foul and into the seats off to the right. 3-2. Singleton again looking across at Cal Ripken, and Murray backs out to have a look just in case there might be a run and hit play in the works. Murray taking his time, gripping and re-gripping the bat. Candelaria out of a stretch. Singleton does not go, and the curve is inside. Ball 4. And now the tying run is at second base. Eddie Murray goes to first. Doug DeCinces coming up with 1 out. Candelaria, who struck out 2 in the first inning, is struggling now. 2 walks, a home run, and a single here in the third inning.
The bullpen's going to start stirring down there. The groundskeeper's taking the tarp off in the bullpen, and outs just run down there.
Candelaria, and again, when you're talking about World Series ball players, there's no reason for excuses, but it's never easy, and especially pitching in the rain.
That's Romo going to start now, Vince, for him.
Enrique Romo, whom we saw in the first game of the series, will begin to warm up in the Pirate bullpen. Doug DeCinces struck out in the first inning. Remember, on that check swing, he was called out by first base umpire Terry Taylor. Candelaria delivers, breaking ball, fouled away, so he comes right back, even though he's walked a couple and he's struggling.
But Candyman, that's one thing about him I always noticed when I was in the league with him. He doesn't care. If he gets a little wild, that's like I said, he went to his breaking ball right away. He wants to get a strike.
Candelaria is 6'7", 232-pounder, 25 years old. He'll be 26 in November. Strike 1 pitch in the rain. Good fastball that seemed to sink down and away, and the count 0-2, and it's really coming down. No balls and 2 strikes the count. Boy, this is some shower.
I'll tell you, Vince, when the AstroTurf the way it is right now, you love to throw pop-ups. I know those infielders want pop-ups.
0-2. And Russ Getz looks over towards the commissioner's box. Remember, the World Series is the commissioner's game. DeCinces kind of wipes his face and climbs back in. In a swirling rain in Pittsburgh, the strike 2 pitch fastball and a high fly ball into shallow left field. Coming up is Bill Robinson to make the catch, and the run is hauled. 2 down. And the batter will be Gary Renicky. Starting in center field tonight over Al Bunbury. Grounded to short in the second inning.
Singleton just yelled over to Murray and told him, be careful when you come into second. The top of the bag is very slippery. He told him, he showed him it was real slick.
On an extra base hit, if Murray has some ideas to really move, and you hit the top of that bag and you're gone. Here's Renicky, right-hand hitting outfielder, playing center tonight. Candelaria, breaking ball, fouled away. So even though he went 3-2 on a couple of hitters, even though he walked 2, the last 2 batters, both DeCinces and Renicky, he started them off breaking ball.
Anytime he's had a little control problem, he knows he can throw a strike with that breaking ball.
0-1 the count. Renicky back up, trying to tie it up. It's 3-2 Pittsburgh. We're in the top of the third. Candelaria's fastball is hit by a diving third baseman Madlock. Here comes Singleton, and a good throw from Robinson. He is out at the plate. For the second time in 2 games running, Baltimore has a man thrown out at the plate. Dave Parker throwing out Eddie Murray last night, and on Gary Renicky's single in the left field, Bill Robinson throws out Kenny Singleton, who looked like he was going to fall down rounding third.
Yeah, he stumbled coming into third base, and he might have slipped on that bag just like he had told Murray about second.
So Baltimore scores twice, and at the end of 2.5 innings, Pirates 3, Baltimore 2.
Grace Cotton of Lincoln, Nebraska, tells how Western Union came to the rescue.
My daughter was quite a ways from home, registering for classes, and they wouldn't take the credit card she had. They wanted cash. So she called home, and she said, what'll I do? Well, I just called Western Union.
We're in the rain here at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. What would have been the tying run just thrown out at the plate in the top of the third, so the Pirates are leading Baltimore 3-2. We told you that plate umpire Russ Getz was looking over at Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, and on the third out, Kuhn has instructed the umpires to have the grounds crew cover the cutout areas. Now, they also have an automatic tarpaulin roller that can come up out of the ground and cover the entire infield. And even though it is elevated, it is not rolled out yet. According to the clock on the scoreboard, it's 9:36, and if I remember correctly, the rain began to first fall at 9:24. When the weatherman was making his estimates about about the weather back around 6 o'clock over 3.5 hours ago. He said the rain would come at 7:30, that it would rain for approximately 15 minutes and then move out. Well, the rain was 2 hours later than his estimate. It has now been raining 12 minutes, and maybe it will move out in a couple of minutes because he did not think that it would interfere with the game. Hi, everybody. Ben Scully along with Sparky Anderson. Welcome back to Three Rivers Stadium. The third game is underway again after an hour and 7-minute delay because of rain. Scott McGregor took the mound, and he has just gotten Tim Foley on a little fly ball to center. So we have run away, bottom of the third. Pirates 3, Baltimore 2, and Dave Parker coming up. Parker had a scoring fly ball in the first inning. He knocked in Omar Moreno, who had doubled, and was brought to third. McGregor's fastball in there for a strike. Sparky had two pitchers interrupted for an hour and 7 minutes. McGregor and Candelaria each warmed up in their bullpens. McGregor then was allowed to warm up on the mound. Pitch is fouled away by Parker. Candelaria at the start of the fourth inning will also be given as much time to warm up on the mound before he is ready. But Candelaria has stopped throwing. He's sitting in the dugout.
I was surprised that Candelaria warmed up in the bullpen, and then he came up now, and he's going to be up here maybe 5-10 minutes. That's too long. I thought maybe, unless they call down and said we're going to have as much time when you go out to the mound.
Which he will have. The commissioner instructed each side. Strike 2 pitch on the way, inside. Fastball, trying to intimidate Parker a little bit. Got it too far inside. 1-2. Cobra music in the background. And that's his nickname, is Parker. Dave waiting in the 1-2 pitch. McGregor, half swing by Parker. They check at third. Swing, says Runge, and Parker is strung out. So 2 down in the third inning. Strikeout number 3 for Scott McGregor. And Bill Robinson coming up. 1 hour and 7-minute delay because of rain. There is also a chance of another shower in about a half hour. And then they claim, after that shower, it looks like clear sailing. Robinson struck out in the first inning, waves at an off-speed pitch and doesn't get it, and the count 0-1. A lot of pressure on the pitchers in this kind of weather.
The one thing about McGregor is that pitch good control. It doesn't seem to bother him then.
The fastball fouled away, and it was a good fastball in on the hands. Robinson couldn't get around on it. 0-2. The Pirates, 3-run, 5 hits. Garner doubled in a couple. Baltimore, 2 runs, 5 hits, and Robinson drives one to left. Ayala comes in and short hops. He was pulled on the ball, I think, and gets it back into Dower. The ball gets away from Dower, but he's able to run it down. It looked like Ayala might have surrounded that a little bit.
Now that's the danger. Anytime you go for hitting, you're giving up defense. There's no question there. If Madison's playing left field, he's going to catch that ball.
So a long single, we'll call it that charitably, for Bill Robinson. And here's Wilbur Stargell. He singled up the middle in the second inning. McGregor going out on the run for the moment, so timeout. Baltimore got 2 in a hurry on a 2-run home run by Ayala, and they had the tying run, Kenny Singleton, thrown out at the plate by Robinson. McGregor goes to first, and back to the bag is Robinson. It was a slow move. It wasn't one calculated to actually pick him off, just to make him think about it. McGregor comes to the plate, and the fastball grounded foul up into the stands, and the count 0-1.
You see how fast that came off the curve, Kenny? That's what I mean. It doesn't have the spin. It comes off and just goes so quick.
The Baltimore infielders are particularly deep now with Stargell up there. Dower is right on the rim. Garcia and DeCinces very deep. The strike 1 pitch to Stargell. Good fastball on the outside part of the plate, 0-2. McGregor a little bit leaning towards first and then picking off the outside corner. No balls and 2 strikes to Stargell. McGregor with 2 out at the belt, eyeballing Robinson. The strike 2 pitch swung on and missed, and he blew him down. So for the Pirates in the third, no runs, a hit, a man left. It would appear McGregor is no worse for the wear because of the rain. And at the end of 3, Pirates 3, Orioles 2.
I can see Rick step his foot across on the third base side just as he's going to receive the ball. In other words, if you step that foot across, then he hits you. You still don't have the ball, but it's so quick, the umpire will never call it anything. Bench was the greatest I ever seen.
You know, I was just going to say, maybe then the second guess should not have been so much on Eddie Murray cutting off the ball. The fact that Rick Dempsey, a very talented catcher, anticipated a dying quail and moved out in front of the plate. Had he held his ground, he might have been able to block the runner from scoring.
I think what you said happened. I think Rick seen the same thing that Murray was seeing. The ball was starting to tail and fade on him and dying out. He started to go out, and then Murray cut it through to him. He was out in front a little. Had he been able to hold his ground just at the last minute, what Bench would do, he just watched that runner out of the side of his eye. The ball would be coming. He wouldn't have it. He just accidentally made the foot across in front of the plate and across the foul territory there. They hit him, and then he would get the ball and go tag him. And they say it's interference. Well, it's not. It happened so fast, nobody could tell.
Probably there were several catchers who were extremely tough as far as blocking runners here at home plate in the National League. Are there some in the American League right now? Any particular bull or hard nose behind the plate over there? We're going to the fourth inning with the Pirates leading the Orioles 3-2. Vin Scully along with Sparky Anderson. John Candelaria will be allowed as much time as he so desires before signaling that he's ready to pitch. The same warm-up advantage given to Scott McGregor. That was Commissioner Bowie Kuhn's announcement before the teams went back on the field and made a lot of sense. And again, our congratulations. The old story about everybody talks about the weather and nobody does anything about it. That's not true. We now have a few covered stadiums, and this game was saved without a doubt because of AstroTurf.
No question about it, Benny. That's the only thing that I can honestly say about playing on it. You're going to get the ball games in, but as far as playing on that between grass, I'll take grass anytime.
Well, we'll find out now about the Orioles. They had the tying run cut down at the plate in the third inning, and Rich Dower will start it off in the fourth. Dower taking a breaking ball inside at the chin, made his head jerk back. Ball 1-0. Dower hit .257, 9 home runs, 61 runs batted in. He grounded to shortstop in the second inning. Candelaria back to the plate. Fastball whacked into left center. That's trouble. It's going to splash, and Marino can't cut it off. And by the time Robinson picks it up, Dower is into second base with a splashing double, and the tying run is there.
You seen it there, Benny. There's the guy, Marino. He was over there. He'll cut those balls off, even on the AstroTurf. But once she hits, it just takes off.
We might very well break a little bit of the pattern. We've had a 5-4 game and a 3-2 game, and under these conditions, despite the fact that both McGregor and Candelaria are good pitchers, we could have a high-scoring one-run game.
Benny, just during the break, I told Howie Haig, the Pittsburgh Pirates great scout, and he's done such a good job for him. I said, Howie, we're going to see some high-scoring games on this turf wet.
Well, here now is Rick Dempsey, and in the first pitch to the right hand, hitting catcher fouled away off to the right as he tried to go the other way. 0-1 the count.
You know, Benny, it's funny, Earl Weaver, with the players he put in there tonight, you know, with the changes, they've been up 7 times, have 5 hits, so
5 hits plus a walk. So only once did one of the newcomers fail to reach, and that was Renicky, who grounded out in the second inning. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Breaking ball got the outside corner. Strike 2. 0-2 to count to Dempsey. So Earl Weaver's black book is paying off with the bat. Whether it crunches him defensively in the outfield remains to be seen. We saw a glimmer of that possibility when Benny Ayala kind of surrounded the base hit off the bat of Bill Robinson. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Candelaria works the fastball away. That running fastball, ball 1.
yeah, he didn't forget that. He came out here in the fourth after the drive, but he also missed the running fastball.
1-2 to count to Rick Dempsey. Scott McGregor on deck. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball, full foul outside of third down the line. 1-2. I guess Dempsey's hitting attack was different with the pitcher following. It's not a case of just going the other way to get a man to third. With the pitcher coming up and an American League pitcher at that, the odds are very much against you getting a hit. So they had Dempsey just trying to attack the ball.
a little different than having that DH in there.
Here's the 1-2 pitch to Rick Dempsey. Candelaria's fastball is high and inside. I think Dempsey, that was the purpose pitch. Dempsey was kind of leaning out, looking for that running fastball away, and Candelaria came up and in just to move him back. 2-2. 3-2 in favor of the Pirates. Fourth inning. Candelaria delivers, and there's a running fastball poked into right field. Picked up by Parker, and they're not going to get burned this time. On a perfect throw to the plate, they hold Dower at third. But remember, there's nobody out. There was no reason to send Dower in on treacherous underfooting anyway.
No way we'd send him in, baby, but I'll say one thing. Cal Richter immediately before he ever got near third, I was watching him. He had both hands up.
Now Chuck Tanner is going out to the mound to talk to Candelaria. Candelaria bent over at the waist, hands on his knees, and I'm not sure if he didn't hurt himself. And Tanner out there to talk to him. The Pirates technically do not have a pitching coach.
They do not have a pitching coach?
Who goes out there and counsels the pitcher besides Tanner?
Well, every now and then Harvey Harris here.
But you don't see Harvey.
Harvey never really, it's a funny thing, Vince, and it's the truth. You're right. He never goes out.
He's the mysterious man. Harvey, I can't remember a game I've seen Harvey go out to the mound. All right, first and third, and nobody out. 3-2 Pittsburgh, and Scott McGregor, the batter. So Dower doubled, and he's at third, and that means 5 hits in the last 1 inning plus against Candelaria. The fastball is inside, ball 1, and Romo getting up down in the Pirate bullpen, and Candelaria might really have suffered because of that hour delay, maybe. 1 ball and no strikes. The lanky left-hander's next one is a chopper down to short. Foley knocks it down, throws to his knees, then throws to first late, and the bases are loaded. Foley short-hopped the ball, looking for Dower to come to the plate, and when he seemed to lift and look for Dower, that's when he went to his knees. And, of course, that ground is so treacherous.
So treacherous, but that was what you call major league coaching at third base by Cal Ripken. There's the play. He knew that Dower was going to be out at the plate. Foley was going for him, and he held Dower up.
It'll be an error charge to Tim Foley, and so Candelaria, who needed a friend, didn't get one on that ground ball. The bases are loaded for Baltimore. Nobody out. Pirates 3, Orioles 2 in the 4th. Chico Garcia, Denny Ayala, and then Kenny Singleton. And Candelaria is definitely on the ropes. Stargill is up. Madlock is even at the bag. And the pitch at the plate is whacked down the left field line, foul, out of play.
Vince, he's getting everything up right now. That's where he's getting killed. Dower's ball was up. The ball was up to Dempsey, and the ball here to Garcia right up in his eyes.
As far as the Pirate infield, the corners are up, but Garner and Foley are back at double play depth. So on a ball hit to Madlock or to Stargill, we'll see if they go to the plate. Dower down the line from third, Dempsey at second, McGregor at first, and the pitch foul back 0-2. Did you have much warfare with Chico Garcia this year?
He hit us very good. He loves the ball upstairs. He really likes that ball up and inside, and he's got some power.
0-2 to Garcia. Romo throwing in the pen, back to Candelaria. John into the windup, and the strike 2 pitch, fastball fouled away. Garcia, during the regular season, struck out 87 times, about 20% of the time. And Candelaria is looking for that kind of a pitch right now, 0-2. Andy checking, Nicosia hangs out a sign. The strike 2 pitch on the way is high and inside. Fastball up and in, ball 1. 1-2. Dower doubled. Then Dempsey singled to right. Dower stopping at third. Foley unable to handle a ground ball by Scott McGregor to load the bases. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Garcia. Fastball, and it's whacked into right center field and will go all the way to the wall. Dower will score. Dempsey will score. McGregor is being waved in, and they all come home on a triple by Garcia. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm surprised that Tanner left Candelaria in.
Well, Candy's been a big man, Vince, and he wanted to stay with him. Candy probably told him, he said, I'm feeling good, but there's a case that I was telling you before. If you start the game high, that's one thing. When you start getting up high after the third, fourth inning, you're not going to get back down. He never got a ball down at all.
And it means, remember, he was bailed out in the third inning on the throw by Bill Robinson to snuff out the tying run. And now here in the fourth inning, he gives up 3 more hits. So with nobody out in the fourth, it means in the last 1 inning plus, he has given up a half a dozen hits. And the crusher, of course, is to Kiko Garcia.
And then he put Charlie in a rough spot here because once he goes to the bullpen, there's no way Ayala will hit now. He'll now come on with the better defense. He'll come on with his left-handed hitter, and I'm sure we'll see Lowenstein, and I don't know yet who he's going to send up, but I'm guessing Lowenstein.
And I guess a little bit later on, Belanger, if he's healthy, will go back into short for Garcia if his leg will hold up.
Well, you know what, Vince? I made a mistake there. I want to park. I'm sure it'll be Bunbury, because now he'll be able to take line and keep putting back where he belongs, and Bunbury in center. So, again, I can talk too quick there.
All right, let's pause for a moment. We're in the fourth inning with the Orioles leading the Pirates 5-3. It is not a second guess because we were talking about it firsthand. Number one, when McGregor warmed up and then went to the mound and warmed up, Sammy Stewart was throwing back up in the bullpen. Candelaria warmed up alone. There was nobody back of him. And then you felt Candelaria should have stayed in the pen. Instead, he went to the dugout, went to the mound, and the next thing you know, he couldn't get anybody out.
Well, Vinny, that situation, one thing I'd like to see a pitcher do. In other words, you've been sitting out for almost an hour or an hour. When you warm up out there, come from the bullpen to the mound, because the worst thing you can do after being sitting for an hour and then warming up and then go sit down again, you just don't have a chance to get yourself even mentally prepared. But if you come from the bullpen, you're warm and you're thinking about pitching.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a surprise and perhaps a tactical error by Chuck Tanner. It remains to be seen. But Candelaria just did not appear. And again, he just barely got out of the third inning alive.
Had a lot of trouble with third. He was getting up. Then in the fourth, he just never did get a ball down.
So now Al Bunbury will be coming out to hit against Enrique Romo. And, of course, Romo with a runner at third and nobody out. So the Orioles scored twice in the third and 3 times here in the fourth. With the Pirates out in front 3-0, the Orioles came right back after them. And as we say, that hour and 7-minute rain and the way the Pirates handled Candelaria, he's gone. So Romo now trying to keep Garcia at third. Romo will get an exchange of baseballs. Plate umpire Russ Getz serving it up. And here's Al Bunbury. So Bunbury, who played in the first 2 games, now up there as a pinch hitter, and then, of course, he'll stay in the ball game in center. Gary Reineke perhaps moving over to left. And Romo out of a stretch. Looks over at third at Garcia. Works the plate, and I believe hit him on the back of the right, just below the numbers. And rolling around in the dirt is Bunbury. And so Romo hits Bunbury directly below number 1. And before he goes to first base, they want to make sure he's all right. And he's going to get a rub down from Earl Weaver.
Knowing Al, if you talk to him tomorrow, he'll say, what is that to me about? I didn't do anything so far.
While they are rubbing the sting out of Al Bunbury, let's pause 5 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS radio network.
WWL New Orleans, Louisiana.
We're in the fourth inning with the Orioles leading the Pirates 5-3 after the Pirates led 3-0. And Baltimore has now dispatched Candelaria. They're still on the attack. Runners at first and third. Nobody out, and Ken Singleton and Eddie Murray coming up. They could go for a bundle in this inning. Romo hands at his sides. Now out of the stretch. Down the line from third comes Garcia. Bunbury away from first. Singleton hitting left-handed takes high. Ball 1. 1-0. 3 left-handers available to come in to relieve for the Pirates. Jackson, Roberts, and Rooker. 1-0 to Kenny Singleton. Romo out of the stretch. Another check of his runners. The right-hander's 1-0 pitch is a ground ball up the middle by a diving Garner. So Garcia scores, and Bunbury goes whirling to third easily. And it is the 4th run of the inning, and it is 6-3 Baltimore.
In all fairness, though, to Romo, that's a double play ball right there, Vince. And that ball just picked up momentum, and Gardner didn't have a chance. But Romo did his job. He threw up the double play ball the same way McGregor did there in the second inning, and he ends up getting 2 runs scored on it.
That run is charged to Candelaria, so you can close the books on John now, as he is charged with 4 runs in the 4th inning and 6 runs in the game. 6 runs and 8 hits to Candelaria. A base hit off Romo. Runners at first and third. And here's Eddie Murray, who lined out and walked. So we were guessing before the fact that we might very well have a high-scoring game here. And certainly Baltimore, they don't figure to score a ton, but they're doing it right now. And we're only in the 4th inning. Romo checking, delivers, and Murray hits an off-speed pitch in the air to right field. Parker coming up for it, tagging is Bunbury. Parker guns it in, and Bunbury's holding right there. What an arm.
He's a weapon. He's a defensive weapon.
And they play that Cobra music, or a mongoose coming up out of a sack. So Parker, a one-hopper to Nicosia. That's the first out of the inning. And Doug DeCinces, the 8th man, coming up for Baltimore in this 4th inning.
You know, Vince, Murray, I think, is a little disappointed because that ball was up there for him. He meant to hit that ball up in the 3rd deck where Stargell hits him.
So the off-speed pitch, and Murray hit under it. So with 1 away, DeCinces struck out and flied to left coming up. An hour and 7-minute rain delay or interruption. And now Baltimore coming back, and they have taken the lead. 4 runs have scored in the 4th inning, and they lead 6-3. Right-hander Romo delivers a strike in the count 0-1.
They want that other run, Bumber there on third very badly because Earl knows and Charlie Tanner also knows that 3 runs isn't anything on this turf tonight.
Have you seen DeCinces squeeze at all? In fact, is Weaver a squeezing manager?
No, he doesn't squeeze very often. He believes that his men will do the job with the bat, and he doesn't squeeze much.
The strike 1 pitch to Doug DeCinces. Romo delivers. Down and away, 1-1. DeCinces, by the way, did not sacrifice this year, so he would not be a logical candidate to squeeze. Bunbury standing at third. Singleton at first. 1 out in the 4th inning. Baltimore with 2 in the 3rd and 4 in the 4th, taking a 6-3 lead over the Pirates.
Doug hurt his back a little bit on that ball he reached the Crawford on, Vince.
1-1. Yeah, he's another fellow who needs a lot of time to loosen up after that hour delay. The 1-1 pitch to DeCinces is taken inside, ball 2, 2-1. DeCinces hit only .230, plagued with injuries, the bad back, but he still had enough to hit 16 home runs, 61 runs batted in. Doug homered in the first game of the series in the 1st inning. Romo, right foot on the rubber, looks down to Nicosia. Enrique out of the Mexican League, and the 2-1 pitch is a ground ball down to Foley. He shovels to Garner. He goes to Stargell and throws the wet ball away, and Bunbury scores. And there you have it. Another reason the games played in the rain are so different from the ones you're normally accustomed to see.
No question about it. That ball came off the turf to Foley. Gave it to Garner plenty of time. Garner had him easy. He had him about 20, 30 feet at first base, and the ball just so slippery. It probably was like a good spitter, as we know a few guys like to throw in this league.
And since you cannot anticipate a double play, even though the run scored, there is no error charged to Garner because the batter remained at first base, Doug DeCinces. So it is 7-3 Orioles. 5 runs over here in the 4th inning for Baltimore. So they've had 2 5-run innings already in the series. The pitch way inside to Gary Renicky, ball 1, 1-0. A 5-run first, and now a 5-run 4th. 7 runs, 9 hits for Baltimore. Pittsburgh, 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. Neither side out of it no matter what the score because of the treacherous underfooting.
No way. You're in this ball game period tonight, no matter what the score is.
1-0 the count. Renicky waiting. On deck, Rich Dow, who started it off with the double. Romo out of his stretch, looks at DeCinces, works the hitter inside, ball 2. 2-0. Pirates got a run in the first, added 2 more in the second, and Baltimore came right back after him with 2 in the third and 5 here in the fourth. 2-0 the count. Romo in relief of John Candelaria, who was charged with 6 of the 7 runs. Now the 2-0 pitch, almost a submarine in there for a strike. That's a pretzel arm to throw that ball up there.
You know, this is the first time in the World Series that I ever seen this guy pitch, and he's something. He comes from every direction.
He throws every kind of pitch from every possible direction. 2-1 the count. Enrico Romo working on Gary Renicky, who opened up the ball game in center field. He's 1 for 2. Now the 2-1 pitch, side armor, swung on and missed. 2-2. You might have borrowed that from Kent Jacoby.
Yeah, he's a little bit between Keon and Jacoby, and all of them wrapped up in one.
So Romo backs off. He's another workhorse. Jacoby was in 94 games during the regular year. Romo was in 84. 2-2. Romo out of the stretch. You look over at the Sensei, and the pitch of the plate in the dirt gets away behind Nicosia. By the time he recovers it, while DeCinces is into second base. And we'll see how they ruled it. It's a wild pitch. So Gary Renicky, the 9th man to come up in the 4th inning. 5 runs over for Baltimore to put the chill on this crowd at Three Rivers, at least for the moment. Baltimore 7 and the Pirates 3. Top of the 4th. Right foot on the rubber, looks down the barrel to get a sign. DeCinces taking his lead, Renicky trying to pick him up. Enrique delivers, and the pitch hit foul, slicing down the right field line and well back out of play in the stand. So it's still 3-2. Back to second goes Doug DeCinces. Of course, it is not easy for anyone to negotiate the distance from second to home. We saw Ken Singleton thrown out. So he's trying to get as much of a lead as possible. Romo out of the stretch and Renicky waiting. 3-2 pitch to Gary, swung on and missed, and down he goes. However, 9 men come to the plate, 5 of them come home. And at the end of 3.5, the Orioles 7 and the Pirates 3. Bottom of the 4th inning, 7-3 in favor of Baltimore. Al Bumbry, who came into the ballgame to bat for Benny Ayala, will go into center field, and Gary Renicky will move over to left. And Sparky, you've observed something sitting up here.
Yeah, on the second pitch to the Sensei, the ball was outside, and he kind of went across, and he moved up in that side again of his, and he's having trouble with the bench. So I'd be very surprised maybe next inning, if they get out of this inning without Pittsburgh scoring, they might go ahead and switch down to third and put in. And he's having some problems with it.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Dusty Sensei now. Remember, the Baltimore shortstop is banged up. Mark Boanger's fight and did not start. And Sensei will be trying to send very gingerly now from the waist as he cleans his fight. Bill Madlock, followed by Steve Nicosia, and then Phil Garner. And left-hander Scott McGregor is waiting for DeCinces to clean his fight before going back to his position. 7 runs, 9 hits for Baltimore, 3 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for the Pirates. And McGregor working on Madlock. He struck him out in the second inning. Murray and Dower, Garcia and DeCinces in the infield. And McGregor's pitch is lifted to right field, but Singleton is there, comes up to one-handed for the out.
If ever they wanted McGregor to throw some fly balls, this is the time, the rest of the night. And they're also, Benny, this is a big inning for him. They scored 5, and if he can get them out this inning without them scoring, then they got a chance to go back to work before the Pirates get something going.
Now it'll be Nicosia with Garner to follow. Nicosia single to left field in the second inning. That's when it appeared as if the Pirates were off and winging. Remember, Garner doubled in a couple. But since then, it's been all Baltimore. They scored twice in the third, 5 times in the fourth, and they lead 7-3. McGregor into the windup, cracks that fastball. It's lifted to Singleton in deep right center, but he has a play. Kenny is under it and makes the catch. So quickly, McGregor gets 2 fly balls to right field. Now Phil Garner especially when you get down Matlock, Nicosia, Garner. You know the infield is so tricky. You just wonder if they will try to bunt. Does McGregor have a pretty good reputation in the American League as a good fielding pitcher?
He's excellent, Benny. He is I'm not going to say he's by the chance or anything like that, but he is excellent. He gets off the mound so quick, and the ball through the middle. You watch him. He's got great power to him, great command of the mound.
Fastball is low to Garner, ball 1-0. All the while, we'll also keep an eye on Doug DeCinces to see if he shows any more real effects at chasing it outside third. Fastball in there for a strike, and the count 1-1. The bullpens are quiet, so Romo is on deck. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Phil Garner. Fastball hit down the shortstop. Gloved there by Garcia. Flips across to first. And what they had hoped for, they got. A very quick inning in the fourth for Scott McGregor. And at the end of 4, Baltimore 7, Pirates 3. We're going to the 5th inning with Baltimore leading the Pirates 7-3. Vince Scully along with Sparky Anderson from Three Rivers. And we're pretty dry, at least for the moment. And we've already moved to part of the critical time. We've had a 1 hour and 7-minute delay in the 3rd inning because of rain. Then we were told the weatherman was speculating we'd get more showers somewhere between 11 and 11:15. Then he said, hopefully, those second showers would move out. Well, they have not come here yet, and we're now 11:15 Pittsburgh time. So far, so good. Enrique Romo, the right-hander, picking up the pieces for John Candelaria, and he will be working now. The left-hander, Scott McGregor at the plate, and he takes a strike on 1. Romo, 32 years old, out of Baja, California. So Enrique Romo down by 4, trying to keep the Orioles quiet. Dower opened up with the double, you remember, in the 4th inning. He backs off and takes low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Now grounded to short and double. Pretty handy with the sticks, Park.
He looks like he can swing the bats. No question about that.
Time out for a moment. Stargell kind of pinwheeling his arms around. It probably gets damp starting at the feet now on that wet rug. And it's, as we said, 11:16, although we do not have any wind. If we had wind now, that would really raise havoc. 1-1 pitch to Rich Dower. And Dower swings, doesn't get it. And the count 1-2. Pirates with a run in the first, 2 in the second. Baltimore with 2 in the third and 5 in the fourth. Of the 6 runs charged to Candelaria, 5 of the 6 were earned. Romo, middle relief man, and that's his job tonight. The 1-2 pitch, side-on breaking ball fouled away up along the first baseline.
You know, Rod Gator is a great coach at the University of Southern California. He must have a lot of fun every World Series, because every World Series, no matter what club it is, you're always talking about Rod Gator and one of his USC players.
That's right. Here's just another one of them, and we mentioned in the first game. Imagine on one college team, Dower, Roy Smalley, Jr., Freddie Lynn, and Steve Kemp. 3 of those 4 became all-stars, and they were all at the same college team. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Fastball got him swinging, so he gave Dower the whole buck and blew him down.
Rod just sat around and smiled all year.
That's real. You know, the odds, imagine the odds of 1-2 players going from a college team to the big league. But imagine 3 of the 4 making the all-star team.
It's amazing, and I'll tell you, that Steve Kemp can swing that bat.
He's got to be one of your prides and joys over there.
Yeah, I keep my legs out of the way when he goes by so I don't trip him. As Vince used to say, just don't trip none of us. Stay quiet in the corner and leave us alone and we'll do all right.
Doing all right. That's Baltimore right now as Rick Dempsey takes a strike in the count 0-1. 1 out, top of the 5th inning. The Orioles 7, the Pirates 3. It looked earlier in the first 2 innings as if the Pirates were going to undermine all of Baltimore's efforts and take them out in the 3rd game, but the Orioles came roaring back. The strike 1 pitch is whacked down the left field line, foul, and in the corner. So Dempsey, 1 for 2, has scored a run, and he'll come back and try it again. If you are not keeping score, when the Pirates come up in the 5th inning, Romo is due to lead off, then Marino and Foley, and there's no one going in the Pirate bullpen. 0-2 to Dempsey. Romo gives the Rosenbag a pinch. Now he's up on top, looks into Nicosia to get a sign. Marino somewhat shallow in center field. The outfield fanned out. The The strike 2 pitch on the way, and that's taken high. Ball 1, 1 and 2.
I imagine if you haven't seen this guy and haven't faced him for a while, he'd be awful tough bench with all the different directions he comes from and turns.
And especially since he doesn't pitch too long, it's not as if you're going to see him 2 and 3 times in a game. The 1-2 pitch, change curve on the inside corner, strike 3 call. What a real pitch that was.
He might get you to start drinking some of that tequila or something.
That was a tequila curveball with a little salt to go. And with 2 down in the 5th inning, it's still 7-3 Baltimore, but Romo sure threw a rainbow up there, and that'll bring up Scott McGregor.
I love McGregor. He's a switch hitter.
All of a sudden, McGregor, who has not batted in the big league, started right-handed against Candelaria, now goes left-handed against Romo. And remember, he was aboard and scored a run. He hit the ground ball that Foley couldn't handle. He swings, doesn't get it, and the count 0-1.
I tell you, bro, this kid's got a good approach to the ball. I bet he was a real good hitter in high school.
You know, he's just young enough to still be a pretty good hitter. After he's been pitching in the American League about 2 years, he won't know where home plate is. 0-1 the count. Romo into the windup, side armor, and sinks low, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, I remember that Ken Brett, the first time I ever seen him. If they hadn't told me he was a pitcher, I wouldn't have believed it, because he looks just like one of the fine hitters up there.
Runs in the family.
Yeah, they're not too bad. The kid over at Kansas City, Georgia, is not a bad hitter.
1 ball and 1 strike. The count is Scott McGregor. Here comes Romo with a fastball high. Ball 2, 2 and 1.
You know, Vince, you don't get to see him, and I never got to see that much of him, of course, a couple All-Star games. I'm going to tell you something. That is a gamer of games. He's one of the great, great players in our game.
George Brett. Name in capital letters. 2 and 1. The count is Scott McGregor. Here comes Romo over the top, and the fastball high. Ball 3, 3 and 1.
McGregor just eyes it like a veteran. He doesn't swing at bad pitches.
2 out in the 5th inning. Baltimore 7 and the Pirates 3. On deck, Chico Garcia. Romo checking signs. Nicosia, they're not going to a crouch, making him stew a little bit. Now he settles in. Romo ready in the 3-1 pitch. Enrique delivers, and it's fouled away to let McGregor swing 3 and 1.
He is a good hitter.
You betcha. Well, we saw Belanger swing 3 and 1 and 2 and 0 in Baltimore. Now you have McGregor swinging 3 and 1. He fouled it off. So 3 and 2 to count. We're going to have to call him Great Scott McGregor. Romo checking. Enrique's 3-2 pitch. Fastball high. And McGregor has won the war. And he'll go to first. But first he wants his windbreaker.
I'll be honest. I think Earl was hoping he would pop up a strikeout there. 2 out. And he just soon not have McGregor on base right now in a 7-3 lead.
Maybe that's why he had him swing 3 and 1, hoping he hit the ball.
That's what I thought. That he please hit the ball.
So McGregor instead is at first base. And with 2 out, Chico Garcia, somewhat of a surprise at shortstop, and then with the bat he has doubled, walked, and tripled tonight. And Garcia, along with Renicky and Ayala, jumped on the scoreboard and got Baltimore the 7-3 lead. Another feather in Earl Weaver's cap. Romo ready, delivers the pitch on the inside corner for a strike, 0-1. 7-3 Baltimore. Baltimore had the tying run thrown out at the plate in the top of the 3rd. We then had an hour and 7-minute rain delay. And after the rain, it has come up Baltimore. The strike 1 pitch, ground ball through into left field for a base hit. And Garcia with a single, double, triple, and a walk.
You know what Garcia's saying? I've been in the wrong league all my life. Get me over in that National League. I can hit over there.
And there's probably some people in the National League saying, where did they get him? Let's see if we can't pick him up. There's no reason to have him sitting down while Belanger plays all the time. 2 on and 2 out, and Al Bumbry coming up against Enrique Romo. Romo came in the 4th inning and pitched to Ayala's spot, and it was Bumbry, and he hit him. So Bumbry at the plate. Romo checking the runners. Right-hander delivers, and it's swung on and missed, 0-1.
Can you imagine hitting the man the time up? He was up there before, and then start him off with a big, slow curve.
0-1. Bumbry backs out for the moment. Now Al back up to the plate. 0-1 2-1 the count. 2 on. 2 out in the fifth inning. 7-3 Baltimore. Romo, very deliberate stretch in the fastball outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, Vinny, Al knows that he didn't hit him on purpose, but I'll guarantee he'd love to hit one right off his chin.
Oh, I bet. Bunbury just waiting for Romo, who is a very deliberate pitcher. Enrique looks in to get a sign, hands on his knees. Takes a long look. Now straightens up. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. Change inside, ball 2, 2-1. Brings up a point that I have not seen except just now from Romo. The pitch of brushing. In case people don't understand what we mean. Years ago, Billy Pierce came over from the American League to the National League. And let's say the catcher puts one finger fastball and you want to throw a curve. You brush your chest or leg once, adding one brush to the one finger. That gives you 2 and it makes it a curve. If 3 is a change up and maybe you want to throw the fastball, the catcher puts 3 fingers down, you brush again. That means you go back to 1 and you get the fastball. Is that still going on over in the American League?
Well, it's still going on, Vinny. The 2 ball clubs, the Giants and Dodgers, use that more than any other ball club. You see it once in a while from Gaylord Perry and people like that, but the Dodgers and Giants were always famous for it.
Yes, and the Dodgers are still doing it. 2-1 the count. Bunbury waiting. Romo straightens up, has a look at the runners, and the 2-1 pitch on the way. Foul back, 2-2. Probably the brushingest pitcher in the National League right now is Don Sutton.
Don always. And Don will kick you, too. You know, a lot of times he'll switch between innings. The next inning will come out, and when he's rubbing up on top, it means what it used to mean on the bottom. Don knows what he's doing with the ball.
I brought it up because Romo gave Nicosia one quick brush, and it's the first time we've seen one in the series. 2-2 the count to Bunbury. Romo delivers, and it's reached for and hit up the middle. Garner dives, smothers it, picks it up, but has no play. But he saved a run. Big play for Garner.
Saved the run, but again, there was just a routine ball that was hit off the end of the bat, and Garner had to dive to stop it.
So Bunbury didn't hit one off Romo's shins, but he did get himself an infield single to load up the bases. And now the Orioles, 7-11. 7 runs, 11 hits. And Ken Singleton coming up with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Singleton has a chance now almost to put it lights out.
I think that here's the key man up right now. If he would get a base hit here, this would be the time, as I said. They got him out in the 4th, which was important. If they could put 2 points on the board right here, I think that's almost a locker.
Well, Romo, who has been struggling, now goes up against a man who can really make you struggle, and we mentioned it last night. Singleton has 3 career grand slams, 2 of them with Baltimore. And the pitch to Kenny, off speed, low, ball 1, 1-0.
Romo should know better than that. You don't want to change on Singleton very often. He's a great off-speed hitter.
And you have a rookie catcher, Nicosia. Tanner, you don't think calls pitches?
No, he doesn't. And Romo was in the league for 2 years in Seattle. He knows Singleton.
1 ball and no strikes to Kenny Singleton. Here comes Romo, fastball, and Singleton a little late. Lifts a fly ball to Marino in left center. Omar comes over and makes the catch. So a big out. It keeps Pittsburgh still in the game as Singleton flies out with the bases loaded. At the end of 4 1/2, Orioles 7 and the Pirates 3. As we go to the bottom of the 5th inning, the Orioles leading the Pirates 7-3. The Pirates have surprised us a little bit the way they have used their pitchers. We mentioned the way Candelaria warmed up with no further support, the way he came in and sat in the dugout, then went out to the mound. It seemed like Tanner gave him more than enough time to get righted, and he didn't. And now Romo, surprising some people, coming up to hit in the 5th. You look surprised?
Well, the only thing I can think of, Vinny, is the fact that Robinson worked 2 days in a row. Jacoby's worked so much. And Grant Jackson, he probably figures here he doesn't get the day off until Monday. So he's going to gamble and let Romo go up 1 time and then give him a chance to pitch 2 more innings, and then he can go down to his bullpen.
Romo, I don't think anybody really knows whether he's much of a hitting pitcher anyway. He takes the strike. He was in 84 games, but he only had 12 at-bats. So we'll see. Right-hand hitter. The strike 1 pitch to Romo is lifted to right field. Moving back for it is Kenny Singleton. He's under it now and makes the catch 1 away. At least he had a pretty good rip at it.
He had a very good rip at it.
Omar Marino will be coming up. Marino doubled and grounded out. Marino doubled, was walked to third, scored on a fly ball to center. 1 for 2 tonight. But Marino has 2 hits and 12 at-bats in the World Series. For the Pirates, they have 1 hit since the second inning. In the last 5 have been retired in order, and the pitch to Marino over for a strike.
He throws a few strikes, doesn't he, then?
Boy, strike after strike. McGregor must be a pleasure to umpire and catch. The strike 1 pitch, fastball is hit over the head of DeCinces down the line, and like a rabbit, it's gone. And Marino into second base, standing up with a double. And that point you made earlier is so valid, Sparky. The ball instinctively goes left, and it's an extra base hit.
Just the moment it hits, it takes off.
So 7-3, Orioles, and the Pirates trying to get up with Foley, the batter, and Parker on deck. 1 out. Fouled out and flied to center. He's 0 for 2. McGregor out of his stretch. Now Scott ready and delivers. Fastball low and inside. Ball 1.
Vince, we're getting close to some of these players' bedtime.
That's right. You'll be finding a lot of guys for being out after curfew. 11:32 Pittsburgh time. Now the 1-0 pitch to Tim Foley. McGregor delivers. Fastball in there. And the count 1-1. 65 runs batted in, but only 1 home run during the regular year. Struck out only 14 times the entire regular season. McGregor out of the stretch. And the 1-1 pitch to Foley. Scott looks back at Marino. Double check. The 1-1 pitch. Fastball hit down the right field line, peeling off foul, and it'll wind up in the Baltimore bullpen. And the count 1-2.
You know, Jimmy's choked up so much, Benny, he can use either end. Whether if they're pitching inside, he can flip it with the handle.
You wonder sometimes when a fellow chokes up as much as he does, the way old Felix Millan used to choke up, you'd think he hit himself in the stomach with the handle part of the bat. 1-2. McGregor says no, now he's ready. The 1-2 pitch to Tim Foley. Fastball lifted to left field fairly deep, but Renicky has the play, and Marino just holding the out and left, 2 down, and Dave Parker coming out. Parker, a scoring fly ball and struck out, has made a couple of strong throws from right field, keeping people anchored at third. Parker 0 for 1 tonight. He is 5 for 10, but a key so far. Parker does not have a run batted in, and of course he's a machine. He's got to knock people home.
That's the key. If they can stop this big guy and Stargell from unloading on them, they have an outstanding chance.
McGregor checking and Parker waiting. The left-hander looks at Marino, comes over the top, a curveball and a high drive into deep right, single into the wall, reaches up and one-hands it.
I thought that ball was out of the ballpark. Singleton went right to that fence immediately and then just looked right up and he had it.
So Parker, a drive to right, Singleton right at the wall to one-handed. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. And at the end of 5, the Orioles 7 and the Pirates 3. The World Series program, Post Office Box 666R, San Francisco, 94101. Filled with World Series glamour, history, and statistics. Then check a money order for $250 to World Series program, Post Office Box 666R, San Francisco, 94101. Include your name and address, please. Preceding brought to you on behalf of Major League Baseball. Here at Three Rivers Stadium, as they play We Are Family in the background, pointing out the rooftops of the dugout where the visiting club is, the big banner, Baltimore. But the Pirate dugout is not identified as Pirate. On the roof, it says the family. Well, the family is in a little bit of disarray for the moment because the Birds are leading 7-3. Eddie Murray will start it off, Doug DeCinces, and then Gary Renicky. 7-3, Baltimore. Murray is lined out. walk, fly to right. Enrique Romo had to come in the fourth inning, now working the sixth. Stocky right-hander into the windup, and the first pitch fastball foul back, 0-1. 0-1 to Eddie Murray. Murray 0 for 2 tonight, so far in the series. He was 4 for 5 going in, so 4 for 7. 8 total bases, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. Strike one pitch, Eddie. Off-speed breaking ball had fouled outside of first and down the line, 0-2. No balls and 2 strikes to Eddie Murray. 7-11 for Baltimore. 3-7-1 for the Pirates. Doug DeCinces on deck, and evidently, in watching him swing in the on-deck circle, that back's starting to loosen up again, and maybe that momentary pain was only a twinge and nothing more. Murray, tired of waiting, backs out. It was a Baltimore writer who was talking about Romo. He said the other night it was so cold. He said Romo took so long you could get pneumonia and recover from it. Here's the strike 2 pitch, off speed, half swing foul off to the left of the plate, and it's still 0-2.
You know, DeCinces said in California in the playoffs there against the California Angels when he hurt his leg there. I asked him, I said, Doug, do you think you're going to be able to play in the series? He said, look, it's Sparky, I've waited for this so long. He said, I'll play no matter what.
Yeah, if you're missing a series because of an injury, you really have to be hurt. 0-2 the count to Eddie Murray. Over the top fastball and whacked into left center, but cruising over is Robinson to make the catch. Boy, that's a pitch to make the Murray 0-2.
You just can never get the ball up and away to this man. If you do, Vince, I promise you, you have hit it hard almost every time.
Yeah, I think he got away with a mistake that time as Murray hit the ball to left center, and Robinson moved over nicely. One away, DeCinces struck out, flied to left, and hit into a force play. Third baseman 0 for 3. 7-3 Baltimore in the sixth. Romo into the windup, off speed, swung on and missed. Is he something to watch?
He is. I tell you, you know, I've heard about him. They told me what a great job he had done in Seattle, and then I see the records at Pittsburgh this year. You know, I knew the National League, so I knew that he was a good pitcher to do what he'd done. But I'll tell you, he's something else.
He's got every pitch invented. 0-1 the count. Now the strike one pitch on the way. Fastball hit back and speared by Romo, and he lobs it to Stargell 2 down. Romo, a guy who kept going up and down from the minors. Probably what happened was every year he went to a big league camp, a pitching coach said, kid, you'll have to come up with another pitch.
Yeah, he just kept coming up with it from all directions.
With 2 down, base is empty. Gary Renicky started in center and moved over to left when Bunbury came in to bat for Ayala in the 4th inning. And Renicky grounded out, singled, and struck out. Right-hand batter. Romo ready, sidearm, kind of flipped a little bender, but it missed inside, ball 1.
Romo don't have to worry, because if he ever has any trouble with his back, he'll get it back in just by the way he pitches.
That's right. A chiropractic right-hander. 1 ball and no strikes to count. Romo into the windup. The 1-0 pitch over the top, but off speed again, but high and inside, and Renicky got out of there in a hurry.
I noticed that Garner's moved over to the shortstop side of second base, and they put Foley dead in the hole. I've never seen this done with Renicky. To me, he doesn't pull that much.
Except, I guess, maybe that means they're going to give him a lot of off-speed punches. 2-0 the count. Stargell all alone on the right side. Romo delivers. Inside at the kneecaps, ball 3. 3-0.
No, maybe they're not going to give him
anything at all. On deck, however, is Dower, who has a double tonight. He's 1 for 3. Renicky might be given the green light 3-0. Romo into the windup, and the 3-0 pitch to Gary. He's swinging, and a high fly ball to left and deep. Robinson on the track. Under it now, makes the catch 3 out. So a reasonable guess they let him swing 3-0.
No kidding, because they're 3-0. He's leading 7-3 and 2 out. What's the difference?
Playing with house money. At the end of 5.5. Orioles 7, Pirates 3. To the bottom of the 6th inning, Vin Scully along with Sparky Anderson, 7-3 Baltimore. Scott McGregor tuning up, and if the Pirates are going to show some life, and remember in the fifth inning, Dave Parker sent Singleton right up against the right field wall. Now they'll have Bill Robinson, Will Bastargil, and Bill Madlock. And the Pirate mascot trying to shake up this crowd, which has not been nearly as vocal up to here as that crowd in Baltimore. Those good folks in Maryland, they know how to holler and cheer.
Well, they got Wild Bill going for them.
Wild Bill is something else. Now the mascot is almost imploring the crowd, and they finally respond. So now let's see about the Pirate hitters.
Of course, they have a little help on the scoreboard. They're flashing up noise.
You know, if Philip Wiley were alive, he would really be scared. So would George Orwell. For instance, when you see those message boards with hands clapping, telling people to applaud, it's incredible how they can lead a large crowd into doing almost what they want. The pitch to Robinson, who's taken low, ball 1-0.
The thing I always loved about Dodger Stadium was that bugle.
Oh, yeah, the old SC Stars. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Fast one swung out and missed, 1-1, and he might even have turned it over. Seemed to drop a little bit. 50,848 here tonight. McGregor checking. Bill Robinson waiting. Struck out and singled in the third. And Dempsey now going out to the mound to talk to McGregor. is alive. McGregor out of his stretch. Looks at Matlock. Works Nicosia. He hits one deep, but it's hooking foul way in the corner and out of play. It'll end up down in the bullpen where Bruce Keeson has been going. And Keeson is going to have some company down there. 0-1 the count in Nicosia.
I told you he was warming up, you'd kill me.
There's the call-on pitch instead of throw to first. Ken Jacoby is up in the 6th inning.
Jacoby's up.
Well, you know, when he pitched last night, as we mentioned, he had not worked in 8 days, which is like for him having the whole year off. 0-1 to Nicosia. 7-4 Baltimore. 6th inning, 1 out. McGregor's fastball high and away, 1-1. And I'm sure Weaver and Miller are watching to see if that ball keeps coming up.
Well, with Jacoby up, Tanner tells me one thing. He believes he's going to score some more runs. He wants Jacoby to stop him right there, and he knows he can win the ball game.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. McGregor delivers. Fastball and a high drive into deep center. That goes Bumbry on the track at the wall to one-handed. That's 2 wall jobs caught now in the last 2 innings.
Matt's doing the same thing that happened to Candelaria, if you notice. The ball was up to Stargell hit, the ball was up that Matlock hit, and now the ball's up to Nicosia. And when you're getting up there, like I said, Charlie Dustin always says, when they get up there past the 5th, look out.
Well, Dave Parker had singled in one hand his drive up against the right field wall. Bumbry just went to the center field fence. And now here's Phil Garner with 2 outs. Garner doubled and grounded out. McGregor's pitch hit foul down the right field line out of play. Lee Lacy comes out of the Pirate dugout. So Lacy is on call to bat for home out. So Garner has to keep the inning alive. The strike 1 pitch. Fastball, and that's Fellas. Back goes Renicky away back to the wall. At the wall and one-handed. 3 wall jobs, and McGregor ought to go to Vegas.
I would be surprised if we see McGregor come out in the 7th.
And the crowd's stunned as the Pirates, scraping paint but not getting anything for it. They wind up with 1 run and 2 hits. At the end of 6, Baltimore 7, Pirates 4. No one throwing in the Oriole bullpen. McGregor has gotten away with 3 warning track jobs. Are you a little surprised there's nobody throwing back on it?
I'm a little surprised. The only thing I can think of is that Moreno will be the second hitter, and so he's going to allow them to send up right-handed pitching. He wants him to pitch to Moreno, and then Foley, and then he gets into Parker, Robertson, and then Stargell. So he's going to try to get to Stargell, it looks like, with his left-handed.
7-4 in favor of the Orioles in the 7th inning. This will be Romo's last inning, and his first one is low. Ball 1. Rich Dower, the batter, grounded to short, doubled and struck out. Dower 1 for 3. Boy, McGregor served up a warning track job to Parker. Then in the 6th inning, Nicosia sent Bumbry to the wall, and then Garner wound up sending Renicky to the wall. The 1-0 pitch popped in the air. Garner digging, but Marino signals he's there, and Omar, the tent maker, handles it for the out. 1 away. Rick Dempsey coming up. Dempsey grounded out, singled, and struck out. It's rare to see 3 shots that deep in a World Series game in 2 innings, and still Weaver and company feathers are not busted.
Well, I agree with you, though, man. If it wasn't for this cool weather, they wouldn't be in the ballpark. They'd be gone.
The pitch now is hit foul down the right field line out of play. Yeah, way back when you read in the history books about the early days of baseball, how they used to put baseballs in the refrigerator to ice them to make sure you couldn't hit them too far. And that lesson has been learned with the weatherman. The ball just doesn't travel that far in cold weather. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Fastball whacked into right center field. Parker racing over to run it down as it hits the wall, but he falls down. So by the time Marino picks it up, Dempsey is into second base with a double. So a one-out double by Dempsey, and that'll bring up Scott McGregor. And Dempsey now 2 for 4. There'll be a dozen hits for the Orioles, 4 of them off Romo.
You know, Vince, it looks like if you hit a signal, you haven't done anything. It's double tonight.
Yeah, it's not fishing. You don't throw the little ones back, but it's almost that way here. McGregor fouled out. There's a board on an error and walked. So with 1 out, Dempsey at second base, 7 to 4 Orioles. The Pirates scored 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and 1 in the sixth. The Orioles 2 in the third and 5 in the fourth. That fourth inning for Candelaria wrecked his evening, and for Pittsburgh, they've been playing catch-up ever since. Romo due to lead off in the bottom of the seventh, so he figures to come out after this. McGregor takes high, ball 1. 1-0. Stargell now in to talk to Romo. Would you possibly change your pitching theory on a hitter just because it's so wet on the ground?
That's what I'm trying to think of with McGregor, because I've never seen him pitch up like this. Vince, I'd like to say one thing. Willie came in there for one reason. They're rushing Jackson up in the bullpen. Bumbury's the next hitter, so they've decided that Jackson will pitch to Bumbury, so they've sent Stargell in there.
1 ball and no strikes to count. McGregor waiting. Romo out of his stretch, and the 1-0 pitch missed. Ball 2, 2-0. Let me ask you this then. If they are that positive they want to bring Jackson in to pitch to Bumbury, why not pitch him against McGregor and give him the feel of the mound against a hitter who doesn't figure to hurt you?
Well, they had just got him up, and that's the reason they had to have a little delay, and I'm sure that they're going to bring him in for Bumbury. I'll bet anything.
2-0, the count of Scott McGregor. Romo out of his stretch, has a look back at second, comes back to McGregor, high, ball 3, 3-0. 12 hits for Baltimore, 4 runs, 9 hits, and an error for the Pirates. Romo behind 3-0. McGregor waiting. And see if they're going to let him hit. Would you dare? He has a look at his strike, 3-1.
You know, I just remembered something real quick here. Garcia is the next batter because Bumbury went in the ball game. I always think of Bumbury automatically as their leadoff man, but Garcia's the next hitter, so they'll take their time here. Bumbury will be the second hitter.
Here's the 3-1 pitch coming up. Romo delivers, swung on and missed, so considerably Earl Weaver giving his men a chance to swing the bat. They let McGregor swing again, 3-1. Of course, again, if you just make contact, you have a good shot at it, especially on the wet AstroTurf. Garner very deep at second, Stargell deep at first. You'd never think it was just a pitcher up there hitting. 3-2 pitch is swung on and missed, strike 3. The way Garcia has been swinging the bat, maybe they're thinking about putting him on Spark and bringing Jackson in to pitch to Bumbury.
No, because I was watching Jackson. He wasn't hurrying up and rushing. That's the reason I should have known. I forgot to Bumbury. He plays every ball game and always leads off, and I just took it for granted without even thinking about the situation here tonight.
Garcia is a tough man now tonight. He doubled in the first inning, walked in the third, tripled with the bases loaded in the fourth, and singled in the fifth. So Kiko Garcia with a perfect night on the line, 2 out and a runner at second base. 7-4 Orioles. Go over Garcia again with me. Where does he like the ball?
High fastball hitter. He loves that fastball and loves it up. And they've been giving it to him tonight.
Romo out of his stretch, sidearm fastball, but down and away, ball 1, 1-0. Romo due to lead off the bottom of the 7th inning. Then you have Marino and Foley with Parker due up 4th. Romo on the rubber, straightens up again. Another look back at Dempsey, and the pitch fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That is pitch again. I can't understand why they're going up with him because he's proven to them already that he'll hit that high fastball every time they throw it.
1-1. Kiko Garcia starting tonight over Mark Belanger. Just as Benny Ayala started in left, Gary Renicky started in center. And they helped to get the Orioles a 7-3 lead. Now it's 7-4. 1-1 pitch is a looper to Santa Marino, meeting his speed on the dead run. A diving try by Garner is no good, and the run scores. They throw back to Garner, and to Stargell, and his throw hits Garcia in the small of the back and bounces into center field. And so for Kiko Garcia, he comes up with another hit, a run batted in, and it's 8-4 Baltimore.
You know what he's saying right now? He's hurt. He got hit in the back. He says, I own the National League. That's my league. They got to get me over there.
2 singles, a double, a triple, and a walk. And now we get to another flurry. The fact that Jackson has been down in the bullpen, the fact that they could conceivably have walked Garcia, but probably with the pitcher spot due up and 2 out, Tanner didn't want to waste the pitcher and then have to hit for him.
That was the situation again. He just didn't want to waste the pitcher, and besides, he thought Romo would get a pitch down to him. He got another one up. He didn't hit it good, but he fired it.
So it is 8-4 Orioles. It'll be a single for Garcia and an error for Stargell for hitting him in the back. And with all of that, holy mackerel. Enrique Romo walked into the Pirate dugout and tried to throw his glove through the wall. Well, it's 4 or 5 seconds. The stations to identify themselves on the CBS radio network.
This is WWL 87, New Orleans, Louisiana. The road gang immediately following the game.
Grant Jackson, who in 1971 was in the series but was pitching for Baltimore, now coming in for the Pirates to try and get the last out in the 7th inning. Enrique Romo is charged with 2 runs and 5 hits. And the fly ball single up the bat of Kiko Garcia, driving in the 8th run of the game. And Jackson now is asked to get Bunbury and end the 7th. There is no one throwing in the Pirate bullpen, but you still have to figure that Chuck Tanner would bat for Grant Jackson in the bottom of the 7th.
It just depends. I do believe if, say, Bunbury would get a base hit and score Garcia, I'm not too sure he would here. Now, Grant Jackson's a real good hitter for a pitcher, but if he gets him out here, I think then he'll go down to his bullpen again. He'll have plenty of time because he'll have the whole half inning to warm up a pitcher, and Jacoby had been throwing. Although I don't think he'll use Jacoby now.
Well, Grant Jackson taking his 8 warm-up tosses on the mound. Bunbury did not start. Ayala started, had a single, a 2-run home run. Bunbury came into the ballgame in the 4th inning and was hit by a pitch. And then Bunbury had the infield single in the 5th inning. So Al going up against Grant Jackson. How would you instruct a left-hander to work on Bunbury?
You got to try and break himself away. He kind of starts to fail a little. He gets a little jelly knees with the left-hander. You can run your fastball away and keep it down and try and break his stuff. If you're pitching inside, he's kind of leaving there a little right there like a newspaper going to read.
Even though Bunbury's left-handed, and even though there are those who feel that Baltimore might be a little less productive when Singleton and Murray are batting right-handed, they did very well against left-hand pitching. They beat left-handers 34 times, lost only 19. So they're a tough ball club no matter who you send in.
Yeah, that's the one thing about them, and you remember the old Dodger Cubs when we used to have those switch hitters, Julian Lefebvre and those people, Wes Parker. I hate playing those clubs because you really have no direction to go. Whichever pitcher you bring in, they just switch over on the other side, and it's tough.
Well, for Grant Jackson, he'll find out how tough it's been tonight. The Orioles, 8 runs, 13 hits, including a home run by Ayala, a triple by Garcia, and, of course, Kiko Garcia becomes the hitting star tonight.
Those men that Earl put in there tonight against Candelaria to start, those extra men we were talking about, 13 times at bat, Vince, and 8 hits. That ain't too bad.
And they have not really been hurt at all. The only questionable defensive play was when Ayala kind of surrounded a long fly ball and went for a single. The question was Earl going to give up too much defense trying to get on the scoreboard? But it's worked out for him. It usually does.
That's the strange thing. You know, what I hate is when a guy comes up sick the last minute before a ball game and they'll run somebody else in there, and sure enough, he'll beat you.
The first pitch in the dirt, a nice save by Nicosia, ball 1. By the way, in talking about Kiko Garcia, he gets in a World Series record book. 38th player in World Series history to get 4 hits in a game. There's a strike to Bunbury, 1-1. And, by the way, the second in this series because Dave Parker had 4 in the first game. 1-1 the count. Jackson back with a fastball, and it's lifted to shallow left field. Bill Robinson comes in and makes the catch. But the Orioles get an extra run, and all of them are big now. At the end of 6.5, Orioles 8, Pirates 4. A reminder, Game 4 tomorrow from Pittsburgh, American 12:45 Eastern Time, right here on the CBS Radio Network. Lee Lacy is coming up to bat. Even though Baltimore got the additional run, Chuck Tanner's still trying to come up with the answer. So Lacy will hit for Jackson, and Kent Secaldi, who had 8 days off before pitching briefly last night, will throw it in the bullpen. And Lacy takes outside, ball 1. Tippy Martinez gets up down in the Baltimore bullpen. The 1-0 pitch on the way, fastball low, ball 2. So McGregor, who really got away with murder in the last 2 innings, long fly balls caught at the wall, perhaps trying to overcompensate and bring the ball down, and he's been too low twice in the count 2-0. The next pitch on the outside corner for a strike, 2-1. And it should be duly noted that McGregor has not walked anybody, but that's not news.
That's not new, and it'd be surprising to me if he does with an 8-4 lead.
Now the 2-1 pitch on the way. Fastball, line drive, a great diving catch by Dower.
That was a great play. He reacted so quick on that. The ball was away then, and he was leaning that way. I was just happened to be watching him. He was leaning just the way you should be, and he got a tremendous break on it.
So Rich Dower, a diving one-hand catch to take a base hit away from Lee Lacy. And now Omar Marino coming up. 1 out, 7th inning, 8-4 Baltimore.
But Vince is still hitting the ball extremely hard off him.
Marino doubled to center and scored. Grounded out and doubled. He's 2 for 3. The outfield about straight away. Reineke in left field, however, playing a little bit more towards the line. McGregor into the windup. Over the top curveball, and a beauty in there for a strike, 0-1. 8-4 Orioles, bottom of the 7th. Time asked for by Marino and granted by Russ Getz, the plate umpire. Tim Foley on deck. Strike 1 pitch on the way. McGregor's breaking ball is low, 1-1. The Pirates won 9, but the odd thing, they won more games on the road than they did at home, and you don't usually win a pennant that way. 1-1 pitch. Slow curve over nicely, 1-2.
You know, Vince, they say 500 on the road and play 650, 670 at home, and you'll win it. I myself like to play at least 550 on the road and play about 630 at home.
1-2 the count. Pittsburgh won 50 games on the road and 48 here at Three Rivers. Marino asking the time again. Now he's ready. McGregor into the windup. Another slow curve, strike 3 call. That's all he gave Marino. Big jugs. Marino gesturing in the dirt with his bat that the pitch was outside. And now he goes walking back to the dugout, throwing helmet and cap on his way. That'll bring up Tim Foley with 2 out in the 7th inning. So McGregor just throwing that big, slow jug and gets his strikeout. It's a fly ball to left field. Gary Reineke is right there. And so McGregor, after weathering the tough 5th and 6th, has an easy 7th, which is what the doctor ordered for him. And at the end of 7th, Orioles 8, Pirates 4. We're going to the 8th inning here at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh with the Orioles leading the Pirates 8-4. Kent Secaldi. It's hard to keep a straight face and say it, but Kent Secaldi probably needs a little work.
That's why I was kidding you when I looked in the glasses, but they told me that he didn't pitch there for about 8 days, and that's just too long for him. He just worked yesterday in the ball game, and now today I think this is kind of just a tune-up for him.
He barely worked yesterday, too. He only made 12 pitches. 10 of them were strikes. He struck out 2 batters. eighth. Any thoughts so far in the ball game? I guess you have to get back to the way the two teams warmed up after the rain. It just looked like Weaver was thinking more ahead, and that Chuck Tanner perhaps relied too much on a man who has had back problems and who just wasn't able to really answer the bell.
I think it was a question that Candelaria probably told Charlie that I feel real good. I feel great because I know that Charlie's no different than any of us. In a case like Candelaria, you're going to check with him. You're going to ask him, how are you feeling? I'm sure Candy said, Charlie, I feel great.
When Tanner went out there, if I can remember back, remember the way Candelaria bent over? We even thought he might have hurt himself.
That's when we thought, he might have slipped or done something.
So that's the story. Candelaria, who was leading 3-0, then 3-2, and then after the hour was jumped on. They scored 5 times in the fourth, did Baltimore, and they've been holding on very securely since, although 3 times McGregor just did get away with long shots to the outfield wall. Kenny Singleton, 2 singles in 4 trips. Singleton with 1 run batted in. Jacoby into the windup and delivers. A fastball low and outside, ball 1. One thing, too, the way Jacoby pitches, the arm was certainly not meant to throw overhand. It was not constructed that way. But I guess the best way would be to be a bowler or almost an underhand pitcher like Jacoby.
Jacoby does what the doctors claim is the proper way for the arm underneath. And evidently they have to be right because this man's never had no arm trouble.
2-0, the count again Singleton. Jacoby ready, and the 2-0 pitch on the way. There's a one-hopper right at Garner, and he stayed with it, waits for Stargell, and tosses over.
You were very generous. You mean that was a 1 bullet to Garner?
1 bullet to Garner. That'll bring up Eddie Murray. Lined out and walked. Flied out twice. Interestingly enough, with all the bullets skipping off the ground, the Pirates have made 2 errors, both on thrown balls.
Both on thrown balls, and Baltimore again is playing with the 0 on the east side.
Same old story. The thrown balls on what looked like a double play. Remember, Garner threw the ball away, and then Stargell hit the runner in the back. The pitch to Murray inside. Ball 1, 1-0. Eddie Murray. One of your favorites, huh?
He's one of my favorites because of the way he goes about playing. You watch a guy, he can be 0 for 4, and he's playing the same way as if he's 4 for 4.
The 1-0 pitch on the way. Fastball grounded up along first. Stargell retreats for a hop, juggles, throws to Jacoby in time. 2 down. So 2 out in the 8th inning, and Doug DeCinces coming up. Struck out, flied out. Hit into a force play and hit back to the box. 8 runs, 13 hits for Baltimore. 4 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for the Pirates. Of the Baltimore 8 runs, 7 of the 8 earned. Gary Renicky on deck. Jacoby, knees together, hands on his knees, looks in for a sign. And ready and delivers. And, he hurried that one up there. Fastball in there for a strike. 0-1.
He's not one of those guys that you beg to hit off of.
He must be terrible to look at for the first time. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Kent comes back, and that one is a shot down the left field line. Foul. And just like that, he has Renicky 0-2.
Don't you remember Abernathy when he came up
Ted
with
Abernathy.
And Senators? Well, I faced him in spring training when I was with Philadelphia in 1959, and I'll tell you, the first pitch he threw me, I was scared. I went back, got the rods, and I said, my goodness.
Yeah, because suddenly he's not thrown out of the sky, he's thrown out of the mound.
And you couldn't, I had never seen that, in the minor leagues. I had never faced anybody like that, and I couldn't pick up the ball.
0-2 the count to Doug DeCinces. 2 down, 8th inning, 8-4 Baltimore. Jacoby into the windup, and the strike 2 pitch low and outside, ball 1, 1-2.
Then he ought to rephrase that because a lot of guys out there listening that played with me said it didn't matter.
Make any difference
or not.
1-2 the count. Jacoby back of the rubber, now up on top. Now Kent into the windup, and the 1-2 pitch off speed, and it's hit to the hole, smothered by Foley, who throws over to first and gets him. A marvelous play.
Outstanding play.
The Orioles are gone in order. Jacoby waits shake his hand. And at the end of 7 1/2, Orioles 8, Pirates 4. Bottom of the 8th inning, 8-4. Baltimore leading the Pirates. Vin Scully along with Sparky Anderson. Listen, Sparky, I do an awful lot of talking here. You just kind of come in and out now and then. Let me hear you read that. Go ahead. Now, I know it's cold, but read it.
I'm terrible at
Come
this.
on, let's hear it.
CBS is your #1 radio network for sports.
Right.
Throughout the year, we put you on the scene of the championship event,
You bet.
the Masters Golf Tournament, and the U.S. Tennis Open.
That'll way to go,
We
Sparky.
take you to the racetrack for events like the Belmont Stakes, and of course, we're here with the World Series. Plus, there's NFL regular season and championship games, winding up with the big bowl games of the pro and college football. For the best in sports, always stay with CBS Radio Network.
By George, you got it. You're terrific. That a way to go, Spark. Bottom of the 8th inning. 8-4 Baltimore. Dave Parker, Bill Robinson, and Wilbur Stargell. Almost, but not quite, the last hurrah. McGregor's fastball a strike, 0-1.
Vince, when you had him back hard, if you would have felt my heart, it was down at my
And
feet.
you read it perfectly. Perfectly. Parker, a scoring fly ball, struck out on the long out to right in the 5th inning. Fouls this one away in the count 0-2. Just to go back over them, Parker sent Singleton up against the wall for the 3rd out in the 5th. Nicosia sent Bunbury up against the wall for the 2nd out in the 6th. Garner sent Renicky up against the wall for the last out in the 6th. Those were the 2 pivotal innings, the 5th and 6th. Strike 2 pitch. Ground ball down to second base. Staying right there is Dower to throw him out. 1 away.
Dower has great courage. He dug in on that one.
He went down on one knee to make sure it wouldn't drive him out into right field. Bill Robinson struck out twice and singled. 1 for 3. Robinson 3 for 9 in the series. McGregor into the windup and delivers, and it's a ground ball to shortstop. Garcia gloves it across to first in time for the out. So McGregor, and we were wondering, boy, Earl Weaver pressing his luck with those long fly balls, and he's turned right around now, and he's just rolling along.
Vince, I tell you, I go back to one thing. Weaver convinces me more every time I see him that I'm not going to worry about Earl Weaver no more. He seems to know and has everything in hand.
Boy, he is outstanding, all right.
This is a dream come true. Alex Graham, the coach I have, he always used to say, Willie Stargell hitting with nobody on and 2 out is a dream.
And 4 runs in the bank. McGregor delivers. Stargell looks at a strike. Single, struck out, and double. Scored twice. But it's 8-4 Baltimore in the bottom of the 8th. McGregor into the windup, and the strike 1 fastball hit foul outside of first. I'm still marveling, a 38-year-old, how quick he still is.
He's not 38, and then he's telling stories. He can't be over 27.
Boy, the head of that bat comes flying through now just as well as he's been doing it at the peak of his career. Strike 2 pitch on the way. McGregor's fastball fouled away off to the left out of play. 0-2.
You have to marvel at people like the late Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, Pete Rose, Hank Aaron. These people were great right up, into the late 30s and early 40s.
A great blessing to stay that healthy and keep your reflexes. McGregor looks in, Stargell waiting, and the strike 2 sidearm fastball just outside. Some of the Orioles ready to come off the field, but Rusket said no. 1-2. Tomorrow, Jim Bibby and Dennis Martinez in Game 4. 1-2 fastball is fouled back, and that time he challenged him in on the letters.
And I'll tell you, if he challenged him one more time right there, he might not challenge. He'll be challenging those seats.
1-2 to Wilbur Stargell. The outfield D, Bunbury slightly off the mark in right center. Singleton very deep in right. McGregor looks in to get a sign. Left-hander's 1-2 pitch, whack foul. That hit a photographer's platform and bounced on down the line. So it's still 1-2. McGregor. Boy, what a job he has done tonight. McGregor, both feet on the rubber, looks down to get a sign. He's leading 8-4, and the Pirates are running out of outs. The sidearm fastball fouled away, and that time he got it down a little bit more. 1-2. Crowd of over 50,000. They saw the Pirates jump out to a 3-0 lead, but it has been Baltimore ever since. 8-4 Orioles. McGregor's 1-2 pitch over the top, and the pitch is popped in the air back of first down the line. Eddie Murray in foul ground, now in fair, makes the catch for the out. And so the Pirates have only 3 outs left, and a lot of the good folks are heading home at the end of 8. Orioles 8, Pirates 4. Well, it's been a great year for baseball. Lou Brock, appreciating, has been brought to you on behalf of Major League Baseball. 9th inning, 8-4 Baltimore. Gary Renicky, the left fielder, will start it off. Then Rich Dower and Rick Dempsey. Kent Jacoby mopping up, really. You rarely would see him in the course of a year. You'd never see him warm up with the Pirates down by 4. But he's getting a little work tonight. And again, as we said, you have to smile when you say it, considering he was in 94 regular season games. Pitch swung on and missed, 0-1.
You know, Vince, I think right now would be a good time to mention Jim Russo with the Baltimore Ball Club, the scouting job he did, and Holly Haig for the Pirates. They've done a super job.
And it's rather evident the way the players are deployed and the way the pitchers have been working. Breaking ball swung on and missed, strike 2. 0-2. How long does it take, Sparky, for a scout to really follow a club and give you a good book on him? Does it take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? How long?
Well, what they do is the people that are scouting in that area will be covering the clubs most of the year anyway, and then the big honcho will come in with, say, about 3 weeks to go, and he'll be with him and the 2 clubs that he's going to have to play, like California, and we'll say Baltimore.
Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled away.
And then he'll start taking them with that scout and going over and over, and then he'll slowly eliminate to the point that he has what he considers the very best position to play people.
1-2. Of course, you can have the best scouting report, and then if your pitcher doesn't do where he's supposed to do, you're in trouble. Jacoby checking. 1-2 the count to Gary Renicky. The right-hander delivers. Fastball low. Ball 2. 2-2.
You know, Benny, even if your pitcher doesn't do what he's supposed to do, normally players will hit in zones. And basically the most important thing is where you defend your players.
2-2 the count. We're in the 9th inning. 8-4 Baltimore. Kent Jacoby into the windup. And the 2-2 pitch low and inside. Ball 3. So a full count to Renicky. Gary is grounded out and singled, struck out and flied out. 1 for 4. Jacoby thinking over his pitches. Now he's up on top. Right-hander ready in the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and belted foul down into the bullpen. So it's still 3-2. Down in the Baltimore bullpen, with McGregor leading 8-4 in the top of the 9th inning, Don Stanhouse begins to slowly loosen up. The number 1 relief man for Earl Weaver. Jacoby looks in, reading signs. Steve Nicosia flashing him out. 3-2 pitch is swung on and missed, strike 3. Breaking ball and a Lulu.
That's what you have to throw him. You throw him a lot of breaking stuff. Try to keep the ball away from him. He's an excellent fastball hitter, and especially inside.
So Renicky strikes out. Here's Rich Dower. Dower grounded out and doubled, struck out and flied out. Made a great diving catch of a line drive hit by Lee Lacy in the 7th inning. Are not keeping score, and you wonder about the Pirates in the 9th. They have Madlock, Nicosia, and Garner. And the pitch at the plate is low, ball 1, 1-0. So Jacoby has to get 6 outs tonight, that would not deter Tanner from bringing him right back tomorrow afternoon.
No, like you said, they're just giving him a little workout here.
1-0. Jacoby into the windup, delivers, and that's cued foul off the end of the bat outside of first, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Don Stanhouse has certainly been given enough time to get ready if they need him.
Yeah, Earl's not taking any chances. I think that if the first guy up gets on, he'll bring Stanhouse in.
1-1 the count. Jacoby ready, and the long right-hander delivers. Ground ball to short. Foley sets for the throw. Flips to Stargell in time. 2 away. For the Orioles, they did most of their damage with 2 in the third, 5 in the fourth. They added another in the seventh. For the Pirates, 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and then they weren't heard from again until they got a run in the sixth, except for the 3 long fly balls, and that's all they were.
You know, Vince, at this point, after we're in 3 games so far, I think Rick Dempsey has been probably as good a player as been in the series.
I should say. And, of course, tremendous comfort for the Baltimore pitchers, knowing what a job he can do on the runners, the pitch over for a strike. But if they say that you never steal a base in the big leagues on a catcher, at the same time, then it's really not only the catcher who can throw you out. The pitcher has to do a pretty good job of keeping you tied up.
The Baltimore pitchers have done a good job. They've helped him out.
Strike 1 pitch on the way to Dempsey, and that's hit in the air down the right field line. Parker, the big man on the dead run, and foul ground, one-hands it and runs into the wire fence and almost knocked it down.
Almost knocked the fence out of there.
So they're gone in order are the Orioles at the end of 8 1/2. The Orioles 8 and the Pirates 4. Don Stanhouse throwing in the pen. Have you ever heard this song? And now it's Bill Madlock. Struck out, fly to right, and singled 1 for 3. Madlock, as he got up to home plate, suddenly a lot of paper coming out of the stands in left field. And so time will be out until the paper is removed. And with Madlock aboard, that's when Nicosia followed with the long out to Bumbry. And Garner followed with the long out to Renicky. There were 3 balls hit tonight that I think most people here, impartially, would say probably would have been out of here in July and August. The pitch to Madlock low, ball 1. It's cold and damp, and the ball's got to the wall, and that's all. And McGregor's still there. Scotty's 1-0 pitch, in for a strike, in the count 1-1. Madlock has some sock, but he's not thinking about that now. He's just trying to get aboard. The 1-1 pitch, McGregor's fastball is hit to short. Garcia gets the hop and throws him out, 1 away. Bottom of the 9th, the Orioles 8 and the Pirates 4. Don't forget, game 4 of the Dennis Martinez. Here's Nicosia, single to left, fly to right, send Bumbry to the center field fence in the 6th inning, and he looks at his strike, 0-1.
You know, Vince, this is a big
Side, splashing its way to Dower, who fights it to a draw and throws him out. 2 out in the 9th inning. 10 in a row, retired by McGregor, and the first 2 of the last 10 were those 2 long outs that looked to be home runs. Remarkable about face.
Remarkable about face, and again, I keep saying it, but you got to give Earl credit. He knows his pitchers. It didn't seem to faze him at all. He knew what this young man could do.
Well, Garner, along with all of the other Pirates, they know what this young man can do. McGregor ready, delivers, and it's hit to center, and Bumbry is right there to grab it, and the Baltimore Orioles, down 3-0 at the end of 2 innings, have come into Three Rivers and beaten the Pirates 8-4. The total's on the ball game for Baltimore to win it: 8 runs, 13 hits, no errors. The Pirates 4 runs, 9 hits, and 2 errors. And you can't say enough for a 9-inning performance from left-hander Scott McGregor.
No, especially on this turf, the way the ball was going through, and he throws strikes, and he knows that Pittsburgh, they're a strong ball club, but he made them keep hitting the ball. And as you said, Vince, and I know you're right, couple of those balls would have been out of the ballpark in the early August into July.
And the remarkable thing, you have to throw away the old bromide, wild, young left-hander. It certainly doesn't apply to this boy. Scott McGregor did not walk anybody tonight, made only 96 pitches, and 78 of them were strikes.
You know, that's amazing to stand out there, and they've had 9 hits off him, 4 runs. You have to think he's had around 120, 130 pitches. When they say he throws 96 pitches, 78 runs.
And it's cold and damp, and you had a 1 hour and 7-minute break in the game just to complicate matters, and riding it all through was Scott McGregor.
He can just roll out of bed and throw strikes.
We'll continue our wrap-up in just a moment.